Okay, there we are. We are live for another controller pileup. This is the show that asks gaming questions. Primarily, it asks, what have you guys been playing? What would you like to play? Yada, yada. It's just random conversation on video games, usually following a small topic format that then if that leads us somewhere, that leads us somewhere. Tonight, we are doing the Sega Genesis must-plays and a couple of other topics here and there. So, let me get the screen here, and I will get us rolling. I know. I love that thing that it does. It's so bad, but I fucking love it.
I feel like I'm being sucked into the internet when you do that.
All right. So, controller pileup. We are on episode 13.
Ooh, you changed the. I never noticed that.
What?
On your card, it shows all the controllers: a Game Boy Color, PSP.
Oh yeah.
And I like your Vita. It has Final Fantasy X too.
That's right, it does. It certainly does.
And then I like how over there in the corner at the bottom, you're like the Duke.
Oh yes,
you can
the
fit
Duke.
You go in the corner because you are a ridiculous controller.
And as large as it was, I fit it into the smallest corner possible.
You did, and it was the biggest controller. It's literally the biggest controller on here. I mean,
yes.
Yet you made it. Yet it's the smallest in picture form.
Yes, its representation is very not scaled.
No, not at all.
So tonight we have ReploidBill, William Bush,
Scott Action Jackson,
Shane McCree Proto Guy.
All right, so let's check what the first topic comes up, because I believe we're back to Final Fantasy. Do you have anything to put on this now that you've had a time with it?
Well, I can tell you that I have not progressed through the story because I've been leveling up my dancer.
Shouldn't you do that?
No,
with
because
the story?
No, you can't. Not right off the bat. No, because the storyline starts at level 70 and your dancer starts at level 60. I had to level it up 10 times to take it into the new area.
How do you do that? How do you level up? Is there story content, or are you just doing bullshit like dungeons over and over and over again?
I do the roulettes, which is the roulettes. Basically, you have your 50, 60, 70 dungeons. You have your leveling, your trials at your main scenario, which is always the same 2 dungeons.
So you're doing exactly what it is that chases me out of MMOs all the time. Dumb, busy work shit.
Level grinding, yep.
Dumb, busy work shit.
But good news is I did get to level 70 yesterday. So now,
I mean, look, this is people's games, okay? There are people that love this kind of stuff. They love MMOs, and there are a couple of MMOs here and there that I play. But for the most part, like, I can't take when you reach that part in an MMO where you're either max level or you're working on that max level and there's no storyline, no side quests, and no development left. So the world is just to me, an MMO, or at least what it should be, is involving yourself in the world. And if the game is not balanced in a way that allows you to be max by the time you've embraced the world at whole, then it bothers me, because now the only thing we're doing is going back to play those dungeons. And what kills me is this. Like, right now you're doing that, okay? But that means almost everybody else on the server is doing that shit too. Which means that at some point I'm going to get in there. I'm not, because I'm not going to play this. But, like, if I get in there and I'm like, okay, I want to do this dungeon. I've never done it. I don't know the mythology here. I want to actually see the storyline, because the dungeons are events. People tend to forget that because they just speed run the fuck out of them all night. But basically, the dungeon will start. There'll be some guy. I'll walk over and I'll start talking to him. And then I'll actually listen to what he says and go through the storyline and hit the buttons and turn around. I'm like, where the fuck is everybody?
Well, you see, people were getting impatient on certain stuff. So the main scenario roulette that you do, that gives you a lot of experience and stuff.
Yeah.
You cannot skip the cutscenes. They make you watch them.
Ha!
So
and
and
that's
when you hear them. Most of it is just reading their dialogue.
Yep. Well, no, there's yes. In this, there in the main scenario, in the second part of the main scenario, roulette. The first part of it is you read the text. After that, it's voice acting.
well, because right now I'm on Star Wars: The Old Republic,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the problems that I keep running into, and it never stops. It gets so fucking old. One of the problems I run into is Satil Sean will be like, "This is an event that is happening. It's a battleground. It's important. It's affecting what's going on in the main storyline." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to go do that." So I go there with 4 people. Those 4 people run, hop on the walls, quite literally, this is not a joke, hop on the walls until they glitch their person into this little, 2x4, basically. Then they run down the map and skip the whole fucking dungeon. And if you don't know how to do that, or you don't know that that's what they're doing, fuck you.
Yeah.
You're just left behind. MMOs are, by nature of the beginner, flawed. You can't be a new guy in an MMO. You have to quickly become an experienced. And nobody wants to fucking tolerate you while you're learning or doing your first time. Like, this is the first time I've seen this dungeon. I want to see what the fuck is going on. They don't have time for you because they got to get to level 70.
I have a thing where I don't skip any cutscenes. I mean, if I've already seen them, then yeah. But
which means every single dungeon you're doing right now with anybody that hasn't done the dungeon yet, you're skipping and moving forward.
oh no, actually, what it does is, if there's somebody new in a dungeon that's never done it before, they watch the cutscene. Well, I've already seen the cutscene, so we wait for them to watch the cutscene. We don't leave this person behind.
Oh yeah, that's a very rare thing you're describing to me, because when I played this game exactly, I got left behind at every fucking cutscene in the game, and I was the healer.
Yeah,
and constantly I would get these fucking messages. What the fuck are you doing? I'm fucking talking to this dude.
Yes. Now, when I run any content with my FC, if there is somebody watching a cutscene, we let them, because when I've watched all the cutscenes for the main story.
As an FC, you can control that. That is true, and that's another thing about MMOs is you have to become involved. Once again, you have to leave newbie status, and you have to do it fast. You have to get involved in like an FC or a campaign company or whatever your fucking game calls it. And if you don't do it, you're going to get left behind fast.
It is a lot easier to do what you want to do, like watch the story, read the story, get involved into the world if you play with friends. If you're playing with random people that's already done it, they just want to get through it so they can go do the next thing they want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly what drops me from MMOs is I never find a group who actually understands the mythology or cares about it. They're just moving waypoint to waypoint, and I can't fucking stand that.
We have a rule in our FC that if somebody hasn't done the content and they want to watch the story and the cutscene, we sit there and we wait for them to finish the cutscene before we move on.
Yeah,
we don't leave anybody behind because that's douchey.
Yes, and I can't tell you how often it happens in every game I play. And
let's be fair, if your healer is the one wanting to watch the cutscenes, we shouldn't leave anyway, because that's the person that keeps us alive.
I'm out.
Mm-hmm. You're like, oh yeah,
shit, I'm dying.
I've watched people do that before. I stood there and waited while somebody ran off and they fucking died, and I'm like, now how do you feel?
How do you feel?
Wait for the healer.
Was that worth it?
Yeah, wait for the healer. Wait for the healer.
All right. So, do you have anything you can add though that we?
I won't be able to have any. I won't have anything to add probably until next week. To be fair.
All right. Then this one is done. So we are moving on to the Sega Must Plays. This is a 30 game list this time.
Now, Sega was my first console.
Was it?
Yes. And so this is going to be good.
Here we go.
I know Scott.
Game number 1. Real Monsters.
That was not mine. I didn't even know that game was on the Sega.
Yes.
Yeah, it was kind of across both Sega and Super Nintendo.
During this era, on the Sega and Super Nintendo, it was possible to have these games and have them be good games. Like nowadays, these are like since we hit 3D, these games have become such fucking money grabs. Like, oh my god, Gwen has that fucking SpongeBob game, and it is absolutely fucking dreadful. It is one of the worst games that I have ever played. It simply doesn't fucking work. It's glitchy. It's awful. The 3D is bad. The camera is terrible. But she doesn't know, so she wants me to play it with her.
Oh, I know all about playing a bad game with your daughter.
Now, back then on the Sega, not that it didn't happen, it did happen, but back on the Sega, it was possible to get like Ren and Stimpy games and shit like that that were good-ass games. Like, look at games like DuckTales, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck. Like, these were good-ass games. And actually, the Sega had a game like that. It had that Quack Attack or whatever. The Donald Duck game.
Yeah.
So these were games that were good games that were on this type of system.
What was the difference? Because I never played this. What was the difference between the SNES and the Sega? Because I know games like...
I could not tell you. This game was a Seth game.
Because I know there's games like Mortal Kombat that in the Nintendo there was no blood, and in the Sega there was blood.
Yes.
So I know they each company changed certain things about the game. It's still the same game, but Sega put their spin on that game, or Nintendo put their spin on the game, just like Aladdin. Aladdin was different.
Yes, Aladdin was different from system to system, including like full differences in levels and even gameplay styles. So yeah, like just like that's something that also keeps it interesting, is that even though it was not an exclusive back then, if you got Aladdin for each system, you had 2 different games.
Yeah. Yes.
That doesn't really happen today. Like Bayonetta doesn't come out for 2 separate systems, and it's 2 different games with like different levels and shit.
Otherwise, it would be worth getting it on both consoles because it's different.
Right. And the only thing close that I can think of that has something even close to that is like Soul Calibur used to release with special characters per system.
Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem's only on the Nintendo. I'm confused. What do you mean?
The DS, they used to have like 2 versions of the game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get you. And then so there's a somewhat of a reason to buy each game. Yeah. All right. So next, speak of the devil,
that was
Aladdin.
That was on my list.
Yes, this was on a couple of lists, to be fair. I couldn't tell you everybody that put it on there because this is one of the games that got phased because it was on multiple lists. So,
well, this game, the Sega version, Aladdin had a sword. And
yes, it did.
And the SNES version, he did not.
He did not have a sword. This is a true statement.
Which does change the combat quite
a bit. To be fair, it is interesting that Sega did that. Because even in the actual show, he only had a sword for like literally a scene, right? Like he slides on a
scene in the movie, but
that's what I mean. He slides on a gym, grabs a sword, and that's it, isn't it?
Oh my god, I haven't seen the movie in so long.
It's like at the very end when he fights Jafar, he has a sword for like a scene.
Yeah, maybe for like a few seconds. That's it.
Yes, exactly. And Sega was like, "Oh fuck, he's got a sword." Fine.
Well, to be fair, I think that it's more. It makes more sense than what he has in the SNES.
Apples. Didn't he have apples in this though too? I'm pretty sure you had apples in this as well.
Some apples, not as many as the Super.
Right. Okay. I do think this is a damn good game. There's often this debate as to which one did it better. Did Sega have the better Aladdin, or did Super Nintendo? Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, for me, the Sega version of Aladdin looked better, but for me, the Super Nintendo version played better.
Me and you will differ on this. I actually think it looks better on the Super. I actually think Super had a higher color palette than the Sega did. And I know for a fact, and this irritates people, but this is true. Anytime we discuss sound, the Super Nintendo wins this fight because the Super Nintendo had the Sony sound chips, which were infinitesimally better than anything Sega could produce. Sega always had that like hard, scratchy metal sound, which worked for them in certain games, like say Mutant League. It really added to the atmosphere because it was.
From what I know, a lot of people say the SNES version of this game is better because some of the boss fights are actually a little bit more in depth, I should say. The fight with Jafar is actually I hear that it's better on the SNES than it is on the Sega.
But maybe some of the level, like, you know what? I'll be honest with you. This could probably be a tough debate because I remember this game being good on both, like legitimately good games.
And I think don't quote me because everybody has their own opinion. I think the SNES was a little bit harder.
I guess I wouldn't know, or I wouldn't remember. Not that I wouldn't know.
I only played it on the Sega.
Okay, so I still own it on the Super. I can't find it on the Sega, but I did have it. Omar dropped a couple lines over here. Actually, he says that he didn't have Aladdin, and when he was growing up, he primarily played the first 4 Sonic games, Aladdin, X-Men, and Jurassic Park. And for the most part, he played his Sega like at his friend's house. He was an SNES kid.
Yeah, for me, my friend had to bring his SNES over.
I was a Sega kid. I got my Sega on Christmas Day, packaged with Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yep. And don't get mad at me, Scott, but Scott here was an Odyssey kid.
Get the fuck out of here.
No, I was Nintendo through and through.
Fucking Odyssey.
Dude, I want to run into somebody who was like, shit, you guys had those fancy graphics. I was an Odyssey kid.
You didn't have a Sega, Scott.
I've played games for the Sega when I was a kid. When there was like a video store, I usually go down there and played games on there. So
you didn't actually have a Sega Genesis?
Nope.
So you were one of the Super Nintendo kids?
Yep.
I was kind of both because my dad had a Super Nintendo, but I owned the Sega. So like I played like Tasmania and shit like that. I loved my Sega. Okay, ready to move on?
Yep.
Next. Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle. Now,
don't know diddly shit about this.
Actually, this is one of Seth's games, and he dropped a message, since he's not going to be here tonight, he dropped a message that basically said, Alex Kidd is to the Sega what Kid Icarus was to the Nintendo, he said. Now, what he means by that is that there was a lot of Japanese ideas and mythology and different shit like that, cultural references, that he did not appreciate or understand until he was older. And now when he goes back, he appreciates this game more as an adult, going back and realizing the kinds of things that it kind of did.
Okay.
So that's kind of where Seth sits with it. And Seth is in our chat room right now, but he was not able to make it on tonight.
Okay. Like I said, don't know nothing about this game.
It's not bad. Alex Kidd was one of what they referred to as the killer apps for the Mega Drive. It was one of the games that kind of got it started. I myself don't actually care for this game. As I've grown up, it feels funny to me when I play it. I don't feel like it's not the kind of responsive I want it to be. But it does make it onto a lot of those Sega collections and shit like that because it is a pretty solid game.
Well, that doesn't make any sense. It should handle very well considering that Sega has flash processing.
Seth said he can be on in 10 minutes?
Oh, well, if you give me a hit, I'll add you in here after a bit. But here we are. Ready? Actually, I guess can you guys send it, or should I back up real quick and send him an invite?
We're only 3 games in. I mean, you can go ahead and invite him.
I am going to send him an invite real quick, and then we will continue, and hopefully this invite will stay for him when we do this. So that's.
It should stay. I've
got to check here. because I have to send a direct email now. That's the only thing that's a pain in the ass about this system is for some reason it's not saving you guys. I have to send the email link every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an issue I'm having with Google Hangouts too. Is like I can't even save you guys in the contacts.
Yes, yeah, that's what's been happening to me too. So let me find Seth here. Sorry, I'm clogging up the whole damn show.
God.
There he is. Doop-a-doop-doop-doo.
I believe that any Sega game that we have on our list.
There, I have him an invite sent, and when he gets a chance, he'll get in here. So I'm going to take control of the screen again here and take us back into the show. Whoa! I love that. It's so ridiculous.
I really feel like
You are entering the internet.
Yes, that's exactly how I feel. Every time I see that, I'm like, oh my god, I'm being transported into the internet.
No shit, man. Next, Booger Man.
That was my list.
This is the 90s had this thing about comedy games. We had things like Toe Jam and Earl, Vector Man, Booger Man. Even the Ninja Turtle games that came out had like funny crap where you'd step on like the floorboard and he'd come up and hit you in the face.
Mm-hmm.
You know, different things like that. It was a very 90s thing to have comedy and gross shit.
And this game was actually quite disgusting.
This game, yes. Oh my god, you had to pop pimples to like find stuff, and he would root through trash and shit like that.
He's not your ideal superhero.
He would eat a pepper, and then he would fart, and fire would blow out of his ass, and that's how he would fly.
Yep. This I think this was this game an actual exclusive to the Genesis.
No.
No, this was also on the Super Nintendo.
Okay, well, it probably played better on the Sega because of that blast processing.
This fucking blast processing.
Well, any game that we have on our list that were on the SNES and Sega at the same time probably played better because, you know, Sega marketed that very well. They shit on Nintendo and say, buy Sega.
It was clever, man. It was cleverly done. They didn't actually have anything necessarily on the Super Nintendo. Like, the Super Nintendo could do almost everything the Sega could do better.
Yes, because
I'm not saying that it was better, but realistically, the stats and everything, the Super Nintendo was superior in almost every single way.
But
like the Sega found this one little thing, this one little tidbit bullshit area that it had just the smallest edge, and it was like, let's make up a bullshit term
and that's exactly
that nobody will fucking understand, but everybody will claim to understand and sell the shit out of it.
I mean, to be fair, it worked, didn't it?
Oh, yes. Oh, very much so. You had kids always fucking talking about bits and blast processing and shit. That's not even a real fucking thing. But, and mega power. They fucking claimed that their games were made with mega power.
Yeah. Mega power.
And people were referencing that like it was a real thing.
But now as you get older and you look back, you're like, oh, blast processing. That's bullshit.
Yes.
Because what do our games have now? My PS4, which is infinitely more powerful than a Sega Genesis. Does my fucking PS4 have blast processing?
Nope.
Ah, damn.
It's fucking sad buffering.
Oh, that sucks.
Right, you would have to collect plungers in this game as you went, and that's how if you had enough plungers, he would make like a thing at the end and climb in and get a bonus round or whatever. I remember that was a deal.
He also picked his nose a lot.
Instead of going down pipes, he actually went down toilets. He would stand on a toilet and he'd flush himself.
Like I said, he's not an ideal superhero.
This game was ridiculous. We ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
Next, Castlevania Bloodlines.
Ew.
This game is a damn good Castlevania. It is one of the quintessential classic Castlevanias that you should and must play.
Follows what Belmont?
Neither. It follows two characters.
Ooh, I like how I can read the back because how you have your title card. The Belmont family tree will die unless you unleash your rage on the undead.
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't. I remember it's you get a guy named John Morris who wields the whip, and then Eric Licard. Is it Licard?
Oh, this is the game that had
Eric. It says right here. Yeah, and that guy, he uses a lance, and there's two very distinct ways to play the game. Both of them will experience the same levels, but both of them can traverse them slightly differently. Like, the guy with the whip, he's a little bit stronger, but he's slower. He doesn't jump as high. The guy with the lance, he hits a little bit weaker, but he hits further, and he can jump with this crazy super jump thing that allows him to almost skip areas sometimes.
Now, John.
Yeah.
That whip, is that the vampire killer?
I'm going to be honest, in terms of the mythology, I don't remember.
Because if both these guys are here to save the Belmont family.
Now, here's the thing. When he uses his whip, he starts with the leather whip, then he upgrades to a chain whip, then he upgrades to like this laser fucking whip where he just puts his hand out and it's like a beam thing that comes out.
Okay, so it's not the vampire killer. Okay.
This game is solid, man. It really was. The music is fucking solid. The graphics are crazy good. This is one of the games that showcased what Sega could do, man.
And I think this game is going to be included in that new Sega Genesis Mini that is coming out by Sega.
Oh, yes, I think it is. This game is one of the games that is going to be included in the Mini. And dude, this game is fucking solid. Like, this is one of the best Castlevanias that had ever been made.
Did you ever beat it?
Yes, twice.
Yeah, with both characters.
No. I actually, for whatever reason, did not beat it with the Lance guy. I beat it both times with John Harris.
John Morris.
Morris, yeah.
Okay, I never played it, obviously, because I'm bad at Castlevania. Older Castlevania.
This game will test your skills. You will die a lot.
I'm not awful at Symphony of the Night, and the newer ones are not even a shell. They're not even a shell of their former selves, but they're different. Obviously, I'm not bad at them. They're like Devil May Cry.
Yes, yeah, they very much are.
But this, like I said, I like Castlevania. I'm just really bad at it. What do we got? Oh, Seth, welcome.
So, just to back it up a bit, because I was listening, on this game, John Morris is actually supposed to be the great-great-grandson of Quincy Morris from the actual books. So that's how he ties in. The other dude with the lance, I can't remember. But yes, you are right. He basically does wield Vampire Killer. So the actual fucking sorry, we just got back from the hospital.
No, you're fine.
But he actually wields Vampire Killer, the actual fucking whip from Castle.
He'll come in as soon as he gets settled and everything. Once he settles into place, it'll work out. Let him get settled into place. He was trying to do that on his way in and shit.
Yeah.
But yes. Yeah, so Seth knows a little bit more about the mythology of it all than I do, as you can tell.
Yep.
Okay, so there.
All right, give yourself a second. Let yourself get settled. Let that phone get in here. All right. Test me. What do you got? Say something. No, it's still fighting.
He
says, I think he's saying I got one bar.
Yeah, his connection is not good.
One bar.
One bar.
No, come on.
One bar. Take my green onions. Oh, shit.
2 bars. Is that better?
Yes. We hear you on 2 bars.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So because he has Vampire Killer, the legit Vampire Killer from like Castlevania 1, he starts with the leather. As you hit it, it becomes the chain. As you hit it, the chain gets further, because I played it last night, actually. And what ends up happening is, yes, you do get a power-up that is basically a laser beam from the sword.
Yeah, see, I remember the laser beam thing. How about, Seth, try going only audio. I think that might help you. I think what it's trying to do is keep up video-wise. Oh.
GhettoNet is amazing.
I know, it really is. Now, but we did an entire episode, and it went just fine, so I know it works. It's just a matter of he just walked in, and now it's going to fight with him to kind of find a happy medium with him.
It sounded like O's and ones.
It was fucking awesome.
Dude, this episode's already amazing.
Dude, it really is so good. Welcome to that live broadcast.
Hells yeah. All right, man. I think we can move on now.
It'll work. It'll work. It's going to take him a while to kind of get in and get going. Next, Comic Zone. Comic Zone is this dude's an artist. Something happens and he ends up inside a comic book, and the comic book is like being drawn as he's in it.
Yeah.
So there's weird crap like it draws in the enemy, which is cool. It's a real cool artifact for the time, and he actually jumps panel to panel. He might kind of hang on the panel and drop into the next frame.
Would this game be like kind of what they tried to do with Beautiful Joe? Would this be like the first game to try to do something like that?
You might be able to somewhat reference that, because when you say that, yeah, that feels right, actually.
Because in Beautiful Joe, you jump into a movie.
Yeah, and in this, you jumped into a comic, and it very much that. I'm gonna be honest. The game is really hard. I don't actually feel like it's even that good. Now, this is just me, but the style, what is going on in the presentation of the game is fucking stellar. It is one of the most creative video games of its time. It is so neat, and it stands out above so much other shit that was happening because it felt and looked like nothing else that was going on at the time, man. It was so unique.
Right.
95. We're at like the end of the fucking Sega here, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because 95 was when PS1 came out.
That's what I mean. We're like at the end of the Sega.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is one of the games that also continues on every collection that's released as well. So
yeah, I think the last time it came out on that Sega collection that was released on all the systems.
Yep, it has a fan base.
Oh, easily, and that's because of what it did. I mean, it really does stand out. It doesn't feel or look like almost anything else. They were really trying to stand out and try something new. Like I said, there's weird things like he'll do this thing where he drops a piece of dynamite, but it doesn't blow up like the wall. It blows up the frame that divides the white line that divides the two frames of the comic, and he just jumps into the next panel.
Right.
And shit like that. It's really cool. And then like as he's fighting, like a little hand will reach over to the comic and like draw in a bad guy, and then he'll have to start fighting it. It's really neat, man.
Welcome back, Steph.
Yeah, that was weird as shit. I figured if I reset my phone, that might help, since that's all I have. But okay.
I would also say you might go all audio, and it might help you a little bit too.
Well, I tried that, but if I go all audio, I can't hear you fuckers. So.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, well, yeah. It's working right now. Don't fuck with it.
Yeah, now you guys just get to kick back and watch my fat ass smoke after I haven't eaten all fucking day. Because I need cigarettes, otherwise I'm going to eat my whole fucking house, and I have no food till Sunday.
You got anything on Comic Zone before we move on?
In terms of Comic Zone, that's one of the games that you actually introduced me to, because I know I had Hannah send it to me while we were driving home. I was one of the kids who was privileged to divorce. I had a Sega at home and the Super at my dad's. So I didn't actually get to play this game until way the fuck later. And because you introduced it to me with it being a beat 'em up, it was fucking outstanding. It was like one of the best beat 'em ups I ever got to fucking play. So the fact that you could literally, like, it hurt you to do so, but you could literally go through and like punch the wall and break the comic panel and go into different stuff. Like, it was actually pretty.
So you see what I mean? Yeah, it stands out in its time. So let's move on. Next, we're going Earthworm Jim, 24 megs of play action.
That's a seller right there.
That there blast processing at fucking action right there.
That's how you sell systems.
Right?
I guess to be fair, back then, 24 megs, I mean, it's funny to think how small games were. Like,
right.
But I will say this. My first computer had a whopping bad motherfucker hard drive of like 249 megs or some shit.
Right. Yeah, it's you're playing fucking. That's basically right there. You were playing fucking Oregon Trail for the Apple II with all of its like 2 megs. You know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So that's kind of my first computer was basically it played Winamp, had Winamp skins. And then it was an emulator box, basically. I was playing Sega Genesis games because, like, you get a Sega ROM, and the Sega ROM might be like 14.9 megs or something. And I was like, sweet! I got like fucking 60 games.
Dude,
exactly.
And guess what? This game came out, 20 years ago?
Now, one thing that's crazy about this game,
something like that, yeah,
and you only know this if you've beat the game. At the very beginning of the game, there is a cow, and if you shoot it and launch the cow, it says "cow launched," and then nothing. And the whole fucking game, it means literally nothing. And the reason I'm remembering this is because the cow is on the box right there.
Yep.
Now, when you get to the end, and yes, this is true. The princess that you are trying to marry, her name is Princess What's-Her-Name.
Yep.
Now, if you actually get to the end and you save the princess and you did launch the cow, you get what's referred to as the good ending.
Yep.
Where in the middle of the storyline, while you're there fucking about to get your Mac on and you save the princess, the cow that you launched at the beginning of the game will interrupt your storyline and land on Princess What's-Her-Name. And Earthworm Jim will just kind of walk off the screen like, oops, and the game will end.
Yep. Because they even did something funny with that later on in the 64 version of Earthworm Jim. There actually is another cow, and he'll literally like walk up to him and he'll be like, I remember this cow. It fucked me up or some shit like that. Like, he even makes a reference to it.
It's crazy to think, but this was the kind of games they were doing. Like I said, there was this comedy game thing that was taking place at the time, and this even got a show. There was an Earthworm Jim show.
Yep. Yep. I remember that TV show.
Not too much to say other than this was definitely a product of its time, and it is damn enjoyable. It's very good. You get the different guns. The levels never quite get boring. You got everything from mini games in between every 2 or 3 levels. There's like a weird swimming level where you're like in an intestine or some shit like that. So it's not like you're swimming. It's like you're like an intestinal worm. It's messed up.
Is he a buff worm?
No, that is a power suit.
Okay.
Yep.
From what I understand,
because when
he is
whip,
actually a worm.
He's a legit worm with a face. Because when you whip, you actually pull yourself out of the suit to smack an enemy.
Yes, and he is a worm. And there's actually like the birds, they don't attack the suit, they bite him and try to pull him out of the suit.
Yep.
Makes sense.
And
that's
so
why one of the villains is a legitimate crow.
Yes. And if they pull you out of the suit, that's actually why Earthworm Jim dies, because, yeah, that's his power suit.
Yep. I just realized I didn't take my shit out of my pocket. Hold on.
So fucking bizarre. But that, like I said, that was the time.
I know I've heard recently that people have been talking about remaking this for the current generation.
It's possible. I mean, every fucking thing else is getting remade. And while that can be cool and it can be detrimental, I mean, I get tired of the remakes, but at the same time, I'm excited by seeing like what they can do. But like this game, okay, say they redid this game and they did hand-drawn sprite animation for the whole game in high HD. That might be really cool. But it might also hurt the game, because part of what made the game what it was the way it looked. It looked like a fucked up type of Ren and Stimpy type era thing. And if you can't capture that feeling again, if it just becomes really extreme, high presentation graphics, just like these games did, by the way, because these games didn't stop here. They kept going. And as they kept going, they got worse because they lost that feeling. This is very much like Ren and Stimpy or White Zombie or Rob Zombie animation. Like that's what this is.
Yep.
And once you lose that feeling, it destroys what the game is. So, yes, a remake might be cool, but I have a feeling they could really fuck this game up by making it look better.
Yeah.
Next,
Yeah.
Golden Axe.
Nice.
Golden Axe, it's very simple. Side-scrolling beat 'em up with fucking warriors. You basically get Red Sonja, Conan the Barbarian, and some fucking dwarf dude.
Hey, don't you knock my dwarf guy.
In fact, I recently played and beat this game very recently, like a weekend ago, with Spencer, and I was Red Sonja, and he was fucking Blue Loincloth Conan, and he kept referring to himself as Blue Conan. The game is simple, but that, like, I feel like I'd like something to say about it, but I mean, that's what it is. You get to play these fucking barbarian archetypes, and you get to cut up any dumb moron that was ignorant enough to be on the screen with you.
Well, at the same time, I think that the game, don't quote me fully on this, but I think the game was originally supposed to be designed for a literal arcade game, like steal your quarters, go fucking kill people.
Yes.
Because the way that it's designed, each person gets their own individual thing. Like the barbarian can only hold like so many magic potions, the dwarf can only hold so many, and then the Red Sonja character can hold like the most. So if you get her, she doesn't have as much life as, say, the barbarian does, but because she can hold more magic, she can literally just be like, oh, what's that? There's 30 dudes on the screen and they're being assholes in this fucking fire hellscape. Magic, be gone.
Yeah, and her magic
so
was
everybody had their strengths. Yeah, everybody had their strengths and weaknesses. So it was like a D&D game before like the dwarf, major D&D type of video games came in.
The dwarf had lightning that would come down, and I think ice. It was like lightning would strike him, and then as he got into the higher ones, ice balls would rain from the sky. The Conan dude dropped a bunch of boulders all over the place. And Red Sonja, if you got her all the way up to her max, she actually called a dragon onto the battlefield.
Yep.
Yeah, this game is really cool. There's not too much to say. It's a standard now. It's a very simple game. But believe it or not, you could pass a couple hours with this easily. Next, Mortal Kombat 2. This is the game that pretty much gave birth to the ESRB.
I thought that was the first one.
Nope, the second. Well, okay, the first one got it started. The second one is the important one. The Mortal Kombat 2 really crossed a threshold for some reason, because I remember watching the court cases when I was a kid, and you would see the Baraka. They kept showing that where he would impale Liu Kang was specifically the clip they kept using. and you kept seeing that in
Yep.
the court case trial shit. And it was on all the news channels and everything. Mortal Kombat 2, and they were also worried about Splatterhouse at the time. That was a thing they were crying.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
where the first Mortal Kombat got in trouble. Mortal Kombat 2 pretty much set this in line. It was what happened. And also, Mortal Kombat 2, for what it's worth, if I'm not mistaken, it was the first game to have a blatant warning on the cartridge. In fact, if you look right here, it's down there. It's not the ESRB yet. There is a warning on the cartridge telling you if your kid is under 14, he can't fucking touch this game.
Yep. Or at least he shouldn't, considering the fact of, at least Scott knows this, GameStop employees don't give a fuck.
Well, they do, just that it's hard when the parents...
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Well, there's also not a law system that's saving them. Like, okay, if I go into to Kroger tomorrow and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna buy this beer and my daughter's gonna carry it out for me. They will not let that shit happen. That is not okay. It doesn't fucking matter what the intent is. And once you even make a statement like that, they'll fucking turn you away and say you can't buy it at all. Now, if the video games had the same kind of power, if somebody could walk in and they could say, this game is mature, and he's like, and then the dad's like, yeah, I know, but he sees the same shit on TV. And if the game guy could literally say, no, you don't understand, it's mature, you cannot buy it for him.
Yeah,
if you have that power, like an R-rated movie, like you can't go into the theater. There are some theaters that will turn you away at the door, even if you're accompanied by an adult. They'll say this is an R-rated movie; he can't go in. Period.
I was trying that all the time with Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, but you can't stop it because there's no law backing you up. If there was a law, if the ESRB was recognized by a general census, just like movies, like, okay, if you go to Walmart right now, even Walmart, and you buy an R-rated film, and you go to the counter, she will look at the game, she will look at the movie, and before she ever takes it out of the case, she'll say, I need to see it. I need to see your wallet. I need to see your identification. And they're supposed to card you because you cannot buy it if you are not the right age. And some of these places will have the law backing them that say, hey, you can't buy it for that kid either. You simply can't leave the store with this product. I'm sorry, put it back. Now, games don't have that, but like cigarettes and alcohol and movies, they have that. In fact, there are secret shoppers that will come in and try to buy cigarettes or something like that and try to not get carded so they can get you in trouble. Now,
that's how I got fired.
Yeah, but video games don't have this. There's not a secret shopper that walks in and buys an M-rated game and then fines you. Like, because, Scott, when you sold an M-rated game, did anything happen to you?
Not really.
Well, when you sell an R-rated movie, or if you sell a pack of cigarettes, you can be personally fined up to $500 because the law says don't fucking do it. So
well, the movie's $500 if you failed the cigarette sting, because I did. It's a $1,000 fine and or jail time. I lucked out, and mine was ran by ATF, and since ATF, the actual feds were the one running it, all I did is lost my job, no jail time. I was like, well, silver lining, I guess. Yeah, exactly. And but that doesn't exist for video games. So until a policy is put in hand for video games like this, we're going to have this kind of problem. Now, online, they've already fixed it because I have to give my credit card or whatever, like say with Steam or whatever, there are certain games where they'll say, you need to buy this with a credit card. You need to prove that you're a fucking adult to get this on our system. Well, if you don't have to do that, then there's nothing saving you. But Mortal Kombat 2 was the game that really got shit started. Mortal Kombat 1 began the problem because of the blood code thing. But that was also Sega's little look, we censored our game too, but just in case parents want to be
adults and play an adult game, we gave them the option, which was bullshit. You know, they sold that game knowing that they were just going to make extra money because they had all the gore.
Yep.
For what it's worth, game-wise, because the only thing that ever gets talked about is the legacy that this game has created, this game was very solid for its time.
Yep.
It had a decent picking roster. The new guys that were added was Shang Tsung became a playable character. They added Jax. They added Kitana and Melina. And they added Baraka. I believe, and Reptile. Reptile was added to the roster here. Oh, and Kung Lao. So, damn, this game had a huge fucking upgrade of characters.
Yep. It's also the first one that added, like, the, like, some of the fatalities in that were, like, you know, the animals, like, you know, Liu Kang would turn into the dragon in that. Whereas before it would be like, oh, Sub-Zero froze you and then, like, broke you into a million pieces. This one, they added a little bit more to the gore factor because they knew, oh, well, that's what sold the last game. Let's bump it up a bit.
And they also got kid-friendly endings where they had friendships and stuff like that.
Oh, no, that's not until 3.
I thought a friendship was in this one.
No. To my knowledge, I might be wrong. 3 added friendships, babalities. What was the other one? There was friendship, babality, the brutality where you would literally just punch a motherfucker till they exploded.
Yes, I remember that. You just did like a fucking retarded combo and the guy blew up into bones.
Yeah, and then I want to say there was something else that was added, but I can't fucking remember. But I could have sworn it was 3, but that's because I played 3 more.
I seem to remember the baby thing happening in the game that Stryker was in, and that would be the 3rd. But I also will not. Now, Friendship is in the second game. But I don't remember the babies being in the second game.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember that one.
But I honestly can't remember. I mean, it's been a long-ass time. But I think Mortal Kombat 2 was the one I played the most at the time.
Right.
Next, Mortal Kombat 3. Let's talk a little bit about this.
So are you going to differentiate between the 3 Ultimate that I threw down in this one?
Actually, I'm surprised mine that I threw in wasn't on here because I threw in Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat is on this list, but I don't control how my computer decides.
Randomizes.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. I just didn't know because I know I threw down 3 Ultimate because to me Ultimate really was the better version of 3. Yeah. But that's just because the roster was a hell of a lot bigger. There were way more levels and then there was way more shit to it. But at the end of the day, it's still the exact same game.
All I did was get this. Your list does say Ultimate, but I just like this picture was a better case. The Ultimate, the only one I was finding was just the picture. But
no, yes, fair enough. That's fine.
Ultimate was specifically the game that was on the list.
Okay, no, that's fine. Because yeah, like I said, mine was the Ultimate, but like I said, that's just because the roster was much bigger. Like you can kind of see it in the box art there, where they have like a bunch more characters from the last game, but Ultimate had all the characters.
Yeah, Ultimate was ridiculous. It was cool because couldn't you pick different versions? Like you could pick the different version of a certain character you liked.
Yeah, and I think it still had a few hidden ones too, didn't it?
Yes, it had a few hidden ones. Like there were 2 versions of Smoke. There was the Cyborg Smoke, and then there actually was Ninja Smoke. You could also play as, I think it was Kotaro, the giant fucking bull centaur guy.
Wait a second, that doesn't seem right. Somebody just came into the chat room and says Friendship was in Mortal Kombat. The first game.
Yeah, not Mortal Kombat 1.
That's not right.
Yeah.
Friendship was added in the second game. It was, and then we got Omar saying that 3 introduced the animalities and Ultimate and introduced the brutalities.
Right. Yeah,
but
I knew there was another one.
Friendship was not in the first game.
Right. But yeah, there was that. You could also play as Shao Kahn as well. He was a hidden character. And I think you could play as Goro because I know that there was the Shiva or whatever. Not Shiva. Fuck.
No, Shiva was in the game by this point, wasn't she?
there was the female Goro version.
Yeah, that's Shiva.
Shiva.
Was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's Shiva.
Yeah. Because she was in there, but I think you could also you could play as Goro. Like Goro.
Didn't Ultimate allow you to play as like Montaro and shit too?
Yeah, that's who I was talking about. The centaur guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very crazy. Like, I know this isn't the right case, but yeah, like Ultimate just fucking broke down the walls and said, you know what, just fucking do what you want to do.
Right.
When did you guys say that Babalities came in?
They should have started in the third game.
3.
Nope, Mortal Kombat 2.
It is in the second? Okay, so it's in the second game.
Okay. So then, all they added was the animalities and the brutalities.
I know Friendship was in the second one for sure.
Right. Friendship is a finishing move introduced in Mortal Kombat 2.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so by this time, around Ultimate, I think they were starting to figure out that the digitized characters were overliving their usefulness. I think this was kind of the breaking point. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ultimate happened specifically to say goodbye to this style. Because after this, we did move on to like Mortal Kombat 4 and shit like that. And we started going 3D, and it was done. Yeah. The digitized actors thing was done.
Yeah.
Next, Mortal Kombat.
Damn it, computer! You're out of order.
It's interesting. It's interesting to note, and this is a small thing, but it's interesting to note that every single guy in this game was a digitized actor, except for Goro, who was a claymation puppet.
Yep.
Which also makes him look more otherworldly than the other characters. It added a kind of even stranger quality to him because he was a different animation. But he was still there. He was still a physical thing, which is the reason to digitize actors. They're physical things. This game, I remember even when I was a kid playing it and being like, like, I feel a very Enter the Dragon thing happening here. Even when I was a kid, I remember that. Because I remember even the levels kind of feel like it a little bit. Like you have that one where all the monks are watching you, and then there's like they go down into a dungeon, which is very much like that, and then they have the night level where all the statues and the warriors and shit, like so much of this felt pulled straight out of that movie in particular. But from what I understand, that is actually, how do I put this? Like, I know that this game came about because they were trying to get a Jean-Claude Van Damme video game.
Yep.
And they got this. He decided that he wasn't going to put his name on it. Something about it being a video game and it might hurt his reputation. And there was a lot of behind-the-scenes shit that was going on, debating whether or not he wanted to put his name on it. So basically, Johnny Cage, that's who he's supposed to be. I've heard a lot that the first character that was kind of made was Johnny Cage, and that was going to be Jean-Claude Van Damme. And then when that didn't go through,
Jean-Claude went over to Street Fighter, the movie.
Yes and no. I mean, this was very much in way before that shit was even considered.
Right. Because his whole thing was, video games are for kids, so he didn't want anything to fucking do with it. He was like, my movies aren't for kids. I don't, basically advertise for kids. Fuck the kids. No, I'm not putting my name to a video game, because they were literally trying to do it not only to compete with like Street Fighter at the time, but at the same time, they were also doing it just to try to be like, okay, well, here's like a legit martial arts game. And then he was like, no. And it was like, fuck it. We're going to go over the top then. They have Hadoukens in Street Fighter. Let's have somebody throw fireballs using the same move.
I heard that one of the biggest things that brought Mortal Kombat into focus was the creator. His favorite part of Street Fighter was when you would get a real good hit and the guy would get dizzy, and then you get those free hits, And evidently that was inspiration enough. That one moment was something he loved so much that he basically built an entire game around reaching that moment.
Right.
And that's how all the fatalities and shit like that came into being, was because Street Fighter had that one dizzy random moment. And as for Super Nintendo, yes, the Super Nintendo, okay, let's be fair here before we go and get into this. Both of these versions are censored.
Yep.
The fact that you have to put in a code to uncensor it means this game was censored. Okay, now you can remove the censorship. That is true. But I would like to give a little bit to the Super Nintendo here. They knew they were going to make less money.
Mm-hmm.
They stuck to their guns. I don't like censorship, so I will not defend that. But I will say they stuck to their guns and they lost a lot of money, knowing they were going to lose a lot of money when they made that decision. A couple of the fatalities I actually feel are a little bit better. And the Super Nintendo, even though it's not the better game, it does look better. The Super Nintendo handles the digitized graphics a little better than I think Mortal Kombat on the Sega did.
Right. Plus the Mortal Kombat version on the Super Nintendo, when it comes down to it, because they did censor some of it does have more of a feel where it feels like it's, a little bit more gory in instances. Like Sub-Zero's fatality in the Sega Genesis version, I believe, is he freezes you and then
No, in the Sega, he grabs you by the face, rips your head off, and your spine is still attached, which everybody always thinks that's really cool. I actually preferred in the Super Nintendo when he would deep freeze your ass and then throw a snowball or an ice ball and you would explode everywhere.
Yeah.
And like you said, because the Super Nintendo had toned it down, that one moment feels so much more extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who has the better version? It is the Sega. There's no doubt. This is the Sega. It is the better version. But there is a little bit to be said about the Super Nintendo before you just simply abruptly walk away from it. In fact, the Super Nintendo, that fatality for Sub-Zero proved to be such a big deal that it made it into later games, replacing the spine rip.
Mm-hmm.
Scott has this arcade machine.
Yeah, I have it with this, the second one, and the third one.
Yep. But not Ultimate, correct? It just comes with the 3?
Wait, I think it is the Ultimate 3.
Is it the Ultimate?
Yeah, I think it's Ultimate 3.
Okay, cool.
One of those arcade machines, so they did put in the Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 for Mortal Kombat 3 instead.
All right, next. Right. All right, we're on Mutant League Football.
Good. I'm glad somebody threw it in there because I felt bad for leaving it out of my list.
Dude, I love this fucking game. This game is so good, man. Legendary good.
I still wish we could go back to actually just making the episodes, just play the game and then have somebody come in and fucking dub over it like it was going to be legit shit.
The problem we ran into was that we had Scott and Shane who was doing it.
Hi.
And I was really good at this game. So every time I played, I freaking won, and I won by a fucking landslide. And so as they were playing, as they were doing the commentary, it would often come down to them talking and being like, they kind of broke character, and it started to hurt the episode a little bit. It wasn't on purpose. It was just they're trying to figure out how to make it work. We were a little less experienced at the time, and they would break character and say things like, whoever's playing the 60 whiners or whatever is. So they would reference that it was a video game and we were going for real at the time. But, like I said, I honestly believe that we were a lot less inclined at the time. I think our experience, I really think we could pull this off if we did a season of Mutant League Football and actually casted it and whatnot. And the big thing would be to actually learn some names and whatnot. Because a lot of times when something would happen, it would just be like, oh, that guy or whatever. It wasn't. They weren't like calling out names and whatnot. We weren't prepared for this.
You know, would we do it with this version, or could we do it with the newest version?
I think the newest version doesn't live up to this. You want the truth of it? Like the characters were a little bit more defined in this. Some of the characters are fucking gone. Bones Jackson isn't even in the new game.
Yeah.
Magician didn't make the game. Snake didn't make the game. Ratbone didn't make the game. And they changed some of the fucking team names too.
I mean,
well, not only that, but at the same time, you also don't have the coach sitting there on the side. Hey, I want to put in this guy. That guy's a fucking panty waist.
Yeah, they took out the coaches.
I think they kind of had to make it different to a degree, because doesn't EA still have rights to this along with Sega?
Probably, but that's exactly what I mean by remakes, man. I don't think that remakes, sometimes they're a bad idea. I would have preferred that this game simply came out like this, and if they would have just given me this game, say on a say they gave me this game and they gave it to me with a port. In fact, on Steam, I could buy Shining Force and Shining Force 2 for $2 a piece. I would have rather actually bought this game for $2 and just played it on the PlayStation with online compatibility, and I would have been much happier than the remake that I bought that has only been played about twice in this house.
Bubba, go lay down.
Because it's not the same. Like, it's missing properties that made it what it is. And maybe that just affects me because I played this game. I was good at this game, and I played it all the time. I was very good, and I played it a lot, and I knew a lot of the names. And I even watched the show. I was really into this, and to see it come back, I was very excited until I started playing it, and there's so much missing that's like I said, back then, these games, they had a certain attitude, and that attitude gets lost with graphics sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes adding graphics doesn't actually help. It makes it worse. Fan, stop tapping. I'm going to come over there and slap you.
That's okay. My cat's driving me nuts. I know you can hear him in the background being a dick.
Yeah, but dude, this game, you could kill the other characters. Yep. Oh man,
you could kill the ref.
Yes, you could bribe the ref and kill the ref. There was different kinds of characters. There was these orc guys, skeletons, aliens, humans, and robot dudes.
Oh, and you could win by the team running out of guys to play.
Yes, which is still a thing today, but it seems to be a lot more difficult to kill off the other team than it was in this. In this, you really had to watch what you were doing, because like Bones Jackson, he could die in like 2 heavy hits, and that was it. He was dead.
Yep, he could. But at the same time with this game as well, without this game, like, you wouldn't have some of the other games like NFL Blitz where you could do like crazy shit and like cheat the system. It's an arena football in like an actual stadium type of a thing. Like, take extra crazy hits and fucking slap around the refs and injure people and do shit like that. Like,
yeah. Are we? Have we said what we're saying?
Yep.
Yep. Next, Mutant League Hockey.
Never played it.
Hockey was they went a little more crazy on the designs. Some of the characters got actual designs, like they put fucking flowing beautiful locks on Bones Jackson. I'll say there was a problem though. While I like Mutant League Hockey, Mutant League Football, even though I didn't completely understand it when I was a kid, I did still get it. a lot of the characters' names and references are references specifically to football. So it would have been cool if they would have actually done the same thing for hockey, and they didn't. They just took the same guys that were from the football game and kind of put them in the Mutant League hockey game, which I guess is cool, but at the same time it hurt it a little bit because, like, it would have been cool to have some sort of monster take on Wayne Gretzky.
Right.
But we didn't get that. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I think one thing that I always came across when I did play this Mutant League hockey was the ice that you're skating on is very, very fragile.
It could break, and your guy would get stuck under the ice, and he'd be like swimming around under there while you were still playing.
Yeah.
Yep. It's about the same. It's the same kind of attitude. It is very good, but I think part of the humor is lost because rather than coming up with a bunch of new characters to kind of introduce a mutant hockey league that references jokes about hockey, they just continued. In fact, like, I think the teams even stayed the same. Like, the Midway Monsters are in this hockey game, and that's their team. And that is not hockey.
Right.
That is very much a football reference.
Interesting.
Next. NBA Jam.
Yep.
This is a good one.
Yeah, I used to play this one all the fucking time.
Yes. I think Tournament Edition was a better game, but there's something to be said about what started all this. Like, this game was disgustingly awesome.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you put in the codes and run around as the fucking Wolfman. Just fucking jump from the fucking other hoop and fucking slam dunk it on the other side.
All the mascots, the presidents you could be.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's just the gimmicky part. The other thing that kind of was crazy about it is that for this game being what it was an actual good basketball game. It was highly competitive, and like, you could get some crazy fucking point differences going, and you had to constantly be on your guard. It wasn't like when you play like a basketball game and you pass and you pass and you pass and you try the 3-point, maybe it works, and one of your guys retrieves it, and then there's a very different feel as to how much this is in your face.
And even speaking of the differences in, like, point spread, like, literally there was one time I was playing against this kid because when I was little, my mom had to work, so we would all go to the babysitters. And I'm like, 12, 13 at the time. And there's this little kid who's like 5. And I'm like, hey, let's play NBA Jam. And he's sitting on his PlayStation like, no, I want to play this PlayStation game. I'm like, no, let's play this. It's a better basketball game. I literally had him up like 300 points to like 7 because every time I would go for the 3, it would go up and he would jump and grab the ball and it'd be like, up, free points because you were goaltending. And he was like, why does he keep doing that? And I'm like, because you're doing it wrong. I'm not telling him why he's doing it wrong. I'm just going to say you're doing it wrong.
Of course.
Because I'm the older douchebag kid, and I had to deal with that sometimes.
This
so it's my turn to be the older douchebag kid who
this
knew
is
better.
Actually something to bring up, though, too. A small thing, but it's something to mention. This was a 4-player Sega game.
Mm-hmm. Yep. One of the few that utilized the multi-tap. Yep.
Very few. In fact,
I think that was mostly with the sports games anyway, when there was 4 players.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't think of many games at all that utilized it.
I want to say Mortal Kombat 3 Ultimate, I think it did, because I think that there was a 2-on-2 fight where everybody could pick a person and then, like, you could go through the rank, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember many games at all, and I can't. Yeah, I don't know, man. Ready?
Yep.
Next. Outrun. Kind of a take on the Cruisin' USA games. That's kind of what this was.
Yeah, well, it was really close to its arcade counterpart.
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty think something like along the lines of Nintendo had Rad Racer. This is pretty close to what that was.
Right.
In fact, it's the same kind of game. Even you have to hit the checkpoints and shit like that. Yeah, for its time, a decent little racer, and it did start to feel fast as you were playing it, which to me is important. I hate feeling slow in a racing game.
Right. Yeah, that one always drives me nuts in later racers where people are like, "Oh my God, Forza," and I'm like, I feel like I could get out and walk faster than this car is going.
Yeah, like it's super real, and they're like, "Oh shit, I'm going 240," and I'm like, "Am I though? Am I?" Anybody else got anything on this?
No, I never played it.
There's not too much to say because of what it is. It was a solid game. It's definitely one of those games that could be definitely worth your time, but I mean, it is a very simplistic game, and once you've played it 4 or 5 times, you've pretty much just got the gist of it. I don't remember there being any surprises like extra secret cars or anything like that. I don't remember anything like that. It was pretty much an arcade racer that was very much along the same lines as Cruisin' USA or Rad Racer. That's what I remember. Yes, no?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree to it.
Okay, next. Phantasy Star 4. I would like to start this by saying this. That cover is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's not a single fucking person on that cover that is in the game.
Right.
The most cliche bullshit fucking cover art that they could have put on this. None of these people are in that game. Not even close. Not even fucking close. This game is awesome. It's an old style RPG. It was the best for me it was the best of the Phantasy Stars. As you play it, it has high anime presentation. So like back then, you would go up and you'd start to talk to somebody. And like, okay, you had the games like they put the little character thing, like what the guy might look like in the corner while he's talking, or it would like just say his name and then the guy would talk or whatever. Well, one of the things that added to the presentation of this game was that when you went up and started talking, it had like animated cutscenes that would play through. Like it would almost look like you were reading a manga. It would jump, and they were very big character sprites and designs that would jump around the screen and whatnot and look. They just added to this. It added to a level of presentation that wasn't seen back then. The battle system was fast and responsive, and it was an old-style game, and it was a very solid RPG for its time, which was important because the Sega was not the home of RPG.
Nope.
It kind of had like 4 or 5 that are worth mentioning, and then it's done.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, when it comes down to Phantasy Star, like I never played any of them on the Genesis. Like immediately, it wasn't until later on with the GameCube we ended up playing Phantasy Star Online. And later on, after I started going back and replaying the Genesis games, I was like, Phantasy Star? No way. And I started playing, and I was like, holy shit. Like, I see why you finally got Phantasy Star Online for later games. Like, this game is fucking pretty outstanding.
Which finally has a new one coming out. Phantasy Star 2 has been promised now, I believe.
Yeah.
Next, Shining Force 2.
Boo.
Shining Force is fucking amazing.
Shining Force. Let me tell you something about Shining Force.
Okay,
Shane, you're just mad because you had a team full of Jogurts, that's all.
No. Let me tell you something about this game. I have never played it. but I feel like I have because I basically watched Bill beat this game multiple times.
Same. I've played it once or twice, but yes, watching Bill play it billions of times, yes.
This game's fucking amazing.
I don't think I've ever seen a person go back to playing a retro game more than Bill has went back to play the Shining Force games.
Look, I just love Shining Force because I love dicking with people and being like, "Hey, you should have fun with Jogurt. You should do it. It'd be fun. Just fuck with people. Let them have a whole team of Jogurts. Be like, this guy I can't do a damn thing."
The game was one of the very first strategy RPGs that I can remember. There was things like Fire Emblem and shit like that did exist, but I did not get to play those on the Nintendo. This was my first era into that. Every time you would start on like a world map type of thing. The rest of it is all very, very RPG. You walk around, you talk to people, you see a story, you go to the next battle. When you got to a battle, you had multiple characters. Very Dungeons and Dragons-esque design, where you had a swordsman, and then you had like a knight, and then you had a gladiator type of dude, and you had a wizard, and you had a healer, and you had to keep track of these people on a field and watch all your stats and everything. Now, when you went to attack, that's where this game did something that for its time was a big deal. The character sprites were enormous and highly animated. You would click on a guy, tell it that's the guy you want to fight, and it would go into like a cinematic event where you'd say, my guy's going to attack with a sword on this guy. Click, 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 bleep. Then the screen would black out, then it would come up and these fucking drums would come on and it'd start playing that battle music, and there'd be this big giant sprite with like flowing robes and wind blowing and hair moving, and like they'd run up and do like this crazy sword attack, and it was like seeing little movies. And every time you got a new ability or a new guy, one of the biggest things you were excited about was seeing the next little cutscene thing. You wanted to see what that guy did. But you had to manage your troops also. You get a lot of people in this, and it's one of the very first RPGs where you get like 60 to 70 guys, but you're only going to be playing with 12. So now you got to figure out what you want. Do you want the cool wizard dude? Do you want the sorcerer? Do you want to get rid of one of your gladiators that have been holding your front line because now you got this weird little octopus jellyfish dude? And you have to make those. You have to make those decisions, and it's tough. Now, Shining Force 3. Yes, I believe that was on the Saturn. One of the best versions of Shining Force is Shining Force CD. For the Sega CD, it is 4 Shining Force games, and they are damn good.
Nope, you are wrong.
What?
The best version of Shining Force is Shining Force Neo.
Fucking kill yourself. Next, Shining Force 1. Same thing. Same thing. These games are great. If you have never played a Shining Force, I'm telling you, they're on Steam for $2 fucking a piece or something like that. Go get them. You will not be disappointed. If you've never played one of these games, it could end up being your gateway into these type of games. Or for that matter, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't like these strategy RPGs that much. I don't play them a lot. I don't play like Advanced Wars and shit like that.
Yep.
No, I wonder
really like
here.
Shining Force. What's up?
I know for like the Android and maybe the iDevice, there was some Sega Genesis games released for free to play. Was this one of them?
This is one of them.
Yep.
So technically, you could give it a try on your little iDevice or cell phone.
You could. I praise Shining Force. Shining Force 1, 2, and Shining Force CD are literally the best strategy RPG games I have ever played. They're not that hard. They don't request that you dedicate your fucking life to them, but they are not easy either. You will find yourself in difficult positions.
Your butt. Keep going.
And certain things can be very difficult, like when you start getting characters like you get the Birdmen, and you think, oh, awesome. They don't take movement differentials. Like, okay, if you're on a certain kind of terrain, your stats will be affected by 15%, 30%, yada yada. That doesn't happen with Birdmen. But the Birdmen have almost no fucking defense, like at all. But not to the same extent of something like Fire Emblem, where Fire Emblem could be fucking dog shit, where you can break your ass working on that Pegasus to where she's like promoted twice and she's level fucking 20 and she's a max character, and then somehow one random level 5 arrow dude will take you down in a single fucking arrow because you're weak to arrows. Not the same thing here. Not the same thing.
Right.
And Sonic 2.
I lived on this game.
Oh my god.
What's that you said about some of the old Sonic games?
I fucking loved Sonic 2. And this is what was packaged with my Sega when I got my Sega.
I mean, you're looking at Sega's mascot.
Right.
Yeah. I liked, okay, in terms of the Sonic legacy for this device, for the Sega Genesis, I think Sonic 2 and Sonic and Knuckles were the two best Sonic games for me. This game I loved a lot. I played the shit out of the second game. I thought it had the best soundtrack. I thought it felt like some of the best level design in the history of Sonic. It was the first time I ever played a game like this that was kind of like how to put this? You know, like Mario. It's that platformer game, but this game had a strange gimmick that I wasn't expecting to like as much as I did. There were races where you would play four different levels, and it was you and a second player could race each other, almost like trying to speed run the game against each other. And you could cause each other problems too, like if they needed to hit this little vine thing, and if you beat them to it, you grab the vine thing, they would jump past it because you've already got the vine and not two people can get it.
I recently played this game on the Sega Genesis collection on PlayStation 4 with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And it was weird playing the split screen 2-player mode.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Right.
It's that stretch split screen though. It's like, whoa.
Right, because the Genesis was always my system at home, and my brother would want to play with me, or my sister would want to play, so we'd pop in, Sonic 2, because it had the race mode to it, so we could actually try to play each other. And you'd have, the different power-ups that would, switch your position, or, different shit like that. And, I mean, there were times where, I'd be kicking their ass, and they'd hit the box and switch with me and be almost at the end. And I'd be like, oh, fuck, I know where the other box is.
Oh, the fucking switch at the finish line, you bitches.
Yeah.
I liked how when I was a kid, there was something that I discovered. And, it's so stupid now, and you can laugh at it, but when I was a kid, I thought that I discovered the coolest, most game-breaking trick ever. The second controller would control Tails in the game, and he couldn't die.
Yep.
So all I had to do was avoid the boss, and Tails would eventually kill him.
Yep.
It's such a small thing, but damn it, dude. This game was amazing. And then at the end of the game, they took Tails away from me, and I was like, oh, you bitches.
Yep.
Next, Sonic 3. Yeah.
Yep. This was one of the ones I lived off of, too.
Now, if I remember right, you got to pick. You could be just Sonic. You could be just Sonic, or you could be just Tails, or you could be Sonic and Tails, couldn't you?
When it comes down to it, yes. On 3, you could be either Sonic and Tails, Sonic or just Sonic or just Tails. But on my pick for it, I had 3 plus the Sonic and Knuckles together.
Well, we've got Sonic and Knuckles on the list,
right?
So that's a different thing because this game introduced
I know.
Knuckles.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is if you put the Sonic and Knuckles with this on it, you actually played the entire game. Technically, both are 2 different halves of the same game.
Actually, that's not true. You got lucky. Because believe it or not, there was something funny about the Sonic and Knuckles cartridge. It did not work with every Sonic 3.
I did not know that.
If you clicked it in, like, okay, I had a version at my house of Sonic 3, and if I put it in my Sonic and Knuckles and put it in the Sega and turned it on, it would go, and it would show Sonic, and he would wave his little hand and be like, this game doesn't work with Sonic 3. And I'm like, what? But it fucking does. And then I could literally go across the street, just across the street, literally my next door neighbor, and his name was Drew, and he had Sonic 3. And if I plugged it in, it would work. And we never figured out why. There were certain versions of Part 3 that wouldn't do it, and then there were certain versions of Part 3 that would do it. And I have no clue if maybe like there was a greatest hits that came out that changed something or what.
Yeah, I would guess that maybe the early versions didn't, but the later versions did.
But yeah, my Sonic 3 would not play Sonic and Knuckles. It would not let me do it. But I could go to my friend's house and it would do it.
Yeah, because that's fucking weird, because I know it would do something like that if you tried to plug Sonic 1 in. It would be like Sonic and fucking Robotnik and Tails would stand there, and so would Knuckles, and they'd all be like, yeah, you're an idiot. No.
Oh, see, now my Sonic 1 would work with it.
Fucking what?
Yeah, it would just, all it did was put Knuckles in the game, and I could get to areas that I wasn't supposed to be in. Like I would climb up something, and I'd be like, I'm up here. There's nothing up here, but I'm up here.
Well, see, I know it worked with Sonic 2. You could play with Knuckles and go through, but Sonic 1, it wouldn't let me. It would give me what it gave to everybody else. It'd be like, nope, can't play this. Doesn't work.
Yeah. See, and I got that with my Sonic 3. I never got to play with Knuckles. I always used to have to go to my friend's house to play Knuckles.
Yeah, that's fucking weird. Because, yeah, I mean, playing through this with both versions, like, being able to play, like, the entire game. I mean, it's both games in its entirety, where after you collect all of the Chaos Emeralds in, like, 3, then it would switch over to Sonic and Knuckles, where now the Chaos Emeralds become the, like, Ultra Emeralds or some such shit, where they'd be the big giant ones that fucking Knuckles is trying to protect in Part 3. Or no, it would be from Sonic and Knuckles. It'd be the big emeralds, and you could collect those and then become Hypersonic. It's one of the few games that gave it to you. Like,
yeah, isn't it? Now hold on, because Supersonic is where it was all gold.
Right.
Is
and
it the same
Hypersonic
thing,
would
or
be
is it
all white.
Okay.
Because when you did it as either Tails or Knuckles, they would become Super Tails and Super Knuckles. But all they would get would be like a white key aura, like, you know, fucking Goku and Dragon Ball type of thing. But Sonic would actually not only become a Saiyan, he would advance to become Super Saiyan 53. Because fuck you.
That's a lot of hair.
Bullshit. Yeah, that was a lot of hair. I want to say that's where the whole Silver the Hedgehog thing came from as well.
This game introduced the different shields at the time too. There was the fire shield, the bubble shield, the regular shield, wasn't it? No, the electric shield.
There was fire, electricity, bubble, and then I think that was about it. There was I'm trying to think now.
Now the bubble.
Fire, Sonic was the only one that could actually use the actual shield powers. Yes. Because if you had the fire, you could actually do like the dash. If you had the electricity, it would not only grab rings, but also allow you like an extra jump. The bubble would allow you to bounce.
And you could not drown. If you were in the bubble, you could not drown.
Right. So you had to like plan accordingly, because if you had the electric bubble and you landed in water, that shit disappeared.
No,
Same with the flame.
I was going to say the fire would go out. I remembered that. Yeah.
Yeah, the fire would go out. The electricity stayed. It wasn't until Sonic Mania later on they set it up where if you had the electricity, it would dissipate in the water. It would kill the enemies near you, but it would dissipate in the water. Because then later on, I figured that out, and it absolutely pissed me off because I would always try to run around with the bubble, because the third level, which is the hydro zone, if you didn't have that bubble, your ass was fucked if you couldn't stay above the water.
Yeah.
And then in the fire one also helped in the ice level as well, because a lot of it was open gaps and you needed to fly the fuck across it.
Yes. All right, let's move on. Let's next Sonic and Knuckles.
Now this is
Right.
the one I played a lot of.
Yeah, on this case itself, it shows it plays with Sonic 2 and Sonic 3, but
Yep.
doesn't show.
But my
Yeah.
Sonic 3 would not work. And I remember that my Sonic 1, because I remember it even like it was even somewhat glitchy. I remember it would work, but there was something funny about it where like you could tell that Knuckles didn't belong in the game.
Right.
Now in Sonic 2, they added a bunch of shit to areas that weren't there before. So when you played as Knuckles, there was stuff there. But like I said, in I got it. It would work on my Sonic 1. And for whatever reason, you could tell that Knuckles was not designed for it, because I could get to areas and there would be like nothing there, as if I'd somehow got outside of the level. And I'd be like, I'm up here. I'm not supposed to be.
And of course, all I can think of, because I'm staring at this cover art, is fucking the Death Egg there. So the final fucking Eggman fight, where it's literally like the fingers would come up like this and do one of these numbers, and then like slam on the ground, because you would always do the spin dash and just bounce the fuck between them till he only had one finger left. Or I would purposely be a jackass and like kill all but the middle fingers, so he'd be doing this the whole time.
Listen. This is the reason why I like the older Sonic games. What you just said. He is not Eggman in these games. It is actually Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah, I prefer the name Robotnik.
I don't know why they changed it.
No, I'm just so used to the new shit too, sadly.
Well, here's the thing. We're looking at one of those things like, okay, because this happens with like the Japanese will make something, we'll change it, and then later on we'll go back and fix it.
Yep.
Maybe he was always Eggman and we did Robotnik, and that's what I prefer because it sounds cooler.
Right.
That does happen sometimes where there's simple little things like we changed little things like, okay, in Dragon Ball Z we said over 9,000 when it's 8.
Right. But at the same time, they tried to fix the continuity, I do believe, in like, I think it was the Archie comics, because Robotnik is his own person and so is Eggman, because the two meet up.
Huh.
But I think it's like a parallel universe shit where the two universes start to collide. So the two actually meet up and like argue with one another. Like, no, we need to do it like this. No, you dumbass. I've been doing it for, longer than you have. I know how this works now.
Well, I'm going to call him Robotnik because it's cooler.
What? Yes, I know. You're adorable and you don't need on camera. Go away.
Thank you.
Sorry, my cat is being an ass.
I liked Knuckles when he was introduced. I don't quite care for where Sonic sits right now. And here's what I mean by that. Right now, Sonic has so many fucking characters that it feels oversaturated. Like, and it almost feels ridiculous to me. But now, to be fair, this is not my fandom.
I also
it felt like an overkill with Sonic Heroes.
I actually think
it was before that.
I think Sonic lost his identity along the way.
yes, I don't feel. I feel like the attitude has changed in what I feel Sonic was attitude-wise as compared to what he is today. And but like I said, this is not my fandom. This is just a superficial. I played the original games, and this is how I feel, kind of thing. So like I'm not insulting somebody that knows these characters that gives a shit. I'm just simply saying that where I am now, I don't need some weird fat cat dude, and I don't feel like I need a white bat lady. And
dude, there's a cat on the camera.
Yeah, that's his thing.
But you do. Yeah. But I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. You do need a shadow.
But I already have Vegeta.
Right.
It's Knuckles.
Yeah.
I don't need 4 fucking Vegeta characters.
Yeah.
And I don't need like 4 or 5 sexy animals. We're going to put that in hard quotations. Look, whatever you're into is whatever you're into. And like I've said before, if that's what you're into, fucking be into it, because you may only have one goddamn life to be into it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I always liked the idea that Shadow was more of Sonic's rival, because you got 2 hedgehogs. You got Shadow the Hedgehog, you got Sonic the Hedgehog. Knuckles isn't a kid.
Nope.
Well, we're noping. What just happened?
You said there's only 2 hedgehogs. I'm sorry. There's like 4.
No, I don't care about
minimum. I think.
I care about like.
Well, okay. There's Shadow. There's Shadow. He's a hedgehog. There's Sonic. He's a hedgehog.
Silver.
There's Amy. She's a hedgehog. There's Silver.
Mm-hmm.
He's a hedgehog.
Mm-hmm. There's also 2 versions of Sonic, because there's Fat Pudgy Sonic from the Genesis, and then there's also Slim Sleek Sonic, who basically was every 3D version up.
And to be fair, those are actually 2 different characters now. They've actually addressed that. So that's 5 fucking hedgehogs.
No, we got more. We got Metal Sonic.
Oh, okay. And there's 2 versions of that too. There's 2 fucking robots.
It's technically it's a metal hedgehog, but it's still a hedgehog.
So we're up to 7. Now here's the thing. I'll say this. There's way too many goddamn Saiyans in Dragon Ball Z.
Yep.
There is. It got fucking old, and every human is a goddamn joke. And to me, that does hurt what Dragon Ball Z was. Remember in Dragon Ball and early Dragon Ball Z when the humans, and sure, Goku was fucking on a different level, but they all contributed. And if Goku had just shown up and all that shit in the Saiyan Saga had not played out the way it did yet, Goku would have got onto the battlefield and he would have been fucking wrecked, because they did a lot of work before he got there.
Yep. Yeah, instead, then you turn around to the Cell Saga, and it's, hey, guys. Oh, hey, Yamcha. What are you doing here? I brought towels and water.
Yeah. And he even says, I came to watch because I'm a shitty human.
Yeah.
And there's nothing I can do here.
Yeah,
there's nothing any human can fucking do in the bounds of this show.
No matter how shitty he is, I mean, human-wise, Tien always tries.
But he's a joke. It doesn't fucking matter that he tries. He's one of my all-time favorite characters, and he's a fucking joke.
And you got
the fucking show is oversaturated, and when you can go ultra fucking physics god mode, what the fuck does Tien matter?
Well, then again, isn't Krillin considered the strongest human?
Yes.
Supposedly.
Yeah. Since he was able to somewhat keep up with Goku.
And he can't.
Yeah.
If Goku physically, realistically tries against anybody, and not just Goku, Krillin, being the strongest fucking human on the planet, cannot beat Trunks. He cannot beat Goten. He cannot beat fucking Future Trunks. He cannot beat Goku. He cannot beat Vegeta. He cannot beat Gohan. It's a fucking joke.
Yep.
He actually has to. I mean, they actually in Super, before the Tournament of Power, Gohan wanted to test Krillin, because taking Krillin, they know that he's a lot weaker than they are. And to make sure that he was up for the fights that were ahead, he tested him, and Krillin beat Gohan. Because Krillin's actually quite intelligent.
Yeah.
And he outsmarted Gohan, who, and we all know Gohan is one of the smartest, characters in the show.
It should be.
Yeah, but there's also a difference between book smart and street smart.
Yes.
And to be honest, Krillin has that street smart because since he was tiny child, he's been doing nothing but training and fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Gohan, read your books. Gohan, read your books. Gohan, study. Gohan, go to college.
It's a joke.
Gohan, do stuff.
It's a joke, but they even said it. I mean, they didn't say it in the actual canon show, but if Krillin was a Saiyan, he pretty much would be unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
After many times he gets his ass kicked.
Yeah. Yep.
He'd be fucking stoppable. Nobody.
But that same problem in a different fashion bleeds into how I feel about Sonic, because I feel like we've gotten to a point where there are so many characters and they're trying so hard to build this like universe and legacy that I feel like it's become this oversaturated mess, a lot like comic books have gotten to this point now where I almost feel like a complete reboot of the Marvel DC universes. Just wipe the fucking floor, bring them back at book 1, and start building a mythology that people can follow.
Yep.
My thing is, though, is that for me, I don't care about those other hedgehogs. I prefer Sonic's rival to be Shadow.
No.
That's me.
I prefer his rival to be Knuckles.
I prefer his rival to be Dr. Robotnik, but that's just me.
He kind of won. He just won that. I'm sorry. Seth just won that.
I was adding aminals, not fucking people.
Okay, he's a people who's trying to control aminals.
It's true. He puts aminimals in machine-it-is.
Yeah.
Mission in the food in the woods and isn't them.
Next. Sonic, the game that started this shit.
And it's not for
right.
resale. You cannot resell that game. Remember that.
Yeah, I actually I had this case.
Yes, I did. I did too. As a kid, I was like, I don't want to resell it. I want to play it.
Yeah, no shit.
Right.
But no, yeah. What's there to be said? This is the original. It started it all. And what can we say that we haven't already said already?
I will say this. Sonic games are interesting because of this. They want you to go fast.
Yes.
But when you start playing, that is a trap. See, you can go fast, but you don't know how to do it yet. The coolest thing about Sonic is the level design is designed to go fast, unless it's the first time you've played it. Mm-hmm. Then you'll constantly run into things where, like, you run into a wall, or there's a bad guy that's right there, or there's a jump that if you take it at full speed, you'll jump, land, and jump, and you'll clear the whole thing. If you don't, you're going to go, boop, wait a minute, boop, wait a minute, boop, wait a minute. And that's what's so cool about Sonic design is the longer you play it, the more you learn the little tricks of where you can go fast, where you can skip the level design in general and basically speed through the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You also have to learn certain shit, like in the first level in Green Hill Zone, or no, not Green Hill Zone. What is it? No, it is. I think it's Green Hill Zone.
Green Hill Zone. That's the first level.
Yeah. So as you start going through it, you'll come to a wall.
Yep.
Well, there's an incline before it, but because this is Sonic 1 and you don't have a spin dash move, you're like, oh fuck, now I'm stuck at this wall. Well, if you run back and you know ahead of time, oh, if I run through and build up momentum and hold the down button and go into the roll, I can break this part of the wall and then go faster.
Yeah, which is what I mean. The levels are designed to slow you down, but if you know what you're doing, you will always progress faster and faster and faster.
Mm-hmm.
That is
except once you get to the second area. Once you get to the second area, Marble Garden is always a bitch
Where you're
because
under the ground and all the lava's everywhere, and
because you have to wait for the lava. You want to go fast because you've learned how to do it from the first 2 levels. Now you get to this one, it's like, oh fuck.
And
actually, I got to correct myself.
With you.
Yeah, because I did just say the first 2 levels. Because in Sonic 1, every single level has 3 acts to it. Sonic 2 is where it began 2 acts, like 2 levels or like 2 parts to the level, and then you move on to the next area.
Yeah.
Except for what is it? There's the first Robotnik machine level goes back to the old formula of 3, but only for that one little area.
Yep. Okay, so I think we've covered a lot of Sonic. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Right.
Unless, does somebody else have something?
No.
Nope. We're moving on.
A lot of Sonic. Moving on.
Okay. Next, Streets of Rage 2. I thought this was the best Streets of Rage. For reference, 2 of the Streets of Rage games made it onto our list.
Nice.
Streets of Rage 2 introduced Skate. That was the first game he was in. I believe the first game has Axel and it has the girl. I'm sorry, I cannot remember her name right now. Blaze. And then I think the other dude is in it too, the big wrestler dude, right?
Yeah. Damn it, I can't think of his fucking name right now. Because he ended up being in like all the others too. I want to say it starts with an H.
No, that's okay. We're thinking Final Fight. Final Fight
I'm thinking Final Fight. Never mind.
That's not right. Now, Street Fighter is a lot. It's basically Final Fight.
Right.
Basically, it's the same kind of game. So if that's where your reference comes from,
hold on.
Yeah. But this was a really good beat 'em up. It was a very solid beat 'em up, and every character, their stats did feel like they actually mattered as you played it. I remember, like, if you played Blaze, which was the person I used the most, because she didn't excel at anything, but she never felt like she was overmatched in anything. Where, like, Skate was freaking fast as shit. He could lay down hit after hit after hit, but they never seemed to mean much. He didn't have a lot of power.
Okay.
Then you go on to Axel, where he had some pretty decent fucking combos that laid down that usually could take a dude's life bar out in one single combo run.
The playable characters' names are Axel Stone, Blaze Fielding, Eddie Skate Hunter, and Max Thunder.
Yep.
Hatcher?
Max is the dude that I don't use. I think he's in the first game as well. Now, in the first game, your specials are like cop cars and shit that come out and shoot guns.
Oh, those.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, Scott's laughing. He knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Yeah,
No, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
You were constantly accidentally calling in the cops.
Dude, you did too. Like, you'd start the game, oh, that used to piss me off. I'd be like, all right, how do I, God damn it, because I'd hit the button and fucking use my cop.
Yep.
Not too much to say here, other than this was the quintessential side-scrolling beat 'em up. Streets of Rage was definitely. I actually think Streets of Rage, and of course, here comes opinion time. I think Streets of Rage is better than Final Fight. I really do. I don't think Final Fight stands up to Streets of Rage. I think Streets of Rage is better.
Blasphemy.
I know it. In fact, Final Fight had to be re-released to keep up with Streets of Rage, because Final Fight was a one-player side-scrolling beat 'em up. One fucking player. And then here comes Streets of Rage, and they were like, bring a friend, motherfucker. That's many more fists and many more rotten faces. I mean, let's be honest. Final Fight drops the fucking ball when it goes one player for one fucking reason. Double Dragon had already been on the Nintendo and had already been 2 players. Turtles had already been on the Nintendo and had already been 2 players. There was no fucking excuse moving to the Super Nintendo, designing a game like that to make it one player and have to re-fucking release it as a 2-player game. You fucked up. That means Streets of Rage gets the edge here, at least for me. And I honestly do believe it was a better game in general.
Damn.
No,
Next,
he's not wrong.
Streets of Rage. This is where you use the cops.
Yep.
I beat this game.
I don't know why, but I always found Streets of Rage easier to play than Final Fight.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I'm getting at too. I think it's balanced better. I think it is balanced better. I think it plays a little better, and I think that the fact that it was 2 fucking players right off the bat instead of needing a second version, but Final Fight dropped the ball.
Right.
And Final Fight, but you got to give it to the game when Final Fight beat up some pink hair girls and people got mad and said, hey, you can't just fucking do that. And they said, do what? And they said, you can't just be punching this pink haired girl. And they said, oh, that's a dude.
Yep.
We're talking about Poison.
Yes.
Yep.
What about
Unlike Spider-Man, where you could walk in and beat up a bunch of ladies, and they're like, "Hey, wait a minute!" And they're like, "They're thugs. This is Spider-Man." They're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, it is funny how that same critique happened the same way. Because actually, in Streets of Rage, it's the same way. You beat up these like hooker ladies that are all in biker leather and shit. And that's not a problem at all. They just literally grab them by the hair, knee them in the face, and literally there's a move where you grab them by the hair, knee them in the face 4 times, flip over them, and then throw them by the hair across the screen. That's a move, and that's perfectly acceptable. But punching that pink-haired girl, that was not okay. You need to explain yourself, Capcom. And Capcom was like, "That's a dude. I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about."
what about Roxy? Was she? Because she was a
Roxy's the same thing. It was just the color swap. So now in the current continuity, it's kind of like a friend of Poison's.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. All right. Well, yeah, I beat this game, and I was.
And for what it's worth, for what it's worth, I like Poison. I don't even care. I don't even care, man. I'm telling you.
Yep.
Next, does somebody have anything else on Streets of Rage?
Nope, just the fact that when I was super excited when I beat the game.
Scott, you got anything?
Nope.
Okay, moving on. Next, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Hyperstone Heist. Holy shit!
I thought that
this was the game that was released at about the exact same time as Turtles in Time.
But better.
Kind of follows about the same story.
Yep.
But has unique levels, different bosses. It is a damn good version of Turtles. Very solid.
This is also the first one on Sega.
Yes. And then afterwards, I think Tournament Fighter was the only other Turtles game.
Yeah.
So there's only 2 Turtles games. This Turtles game, I know everybody loves Turtles in Time. That's a thing. Look, I can't fucking change your mind here. It's so fucking good. But I would tell you that if you like Turtles in Time, you so owe it to yourself to try the Hyperstone Heist, because it's everything you remember about Turtles in Time, but there's unique levels that you didn't get. Like, you get to fight Tatsu. You get to go to the Foot Clan. Like the Foot Clan headquarters, so you get to fight Tatsu. He's not in Turtles in Time. And when you fight Leatherface in a sewers instead of fighting the Rat King.
And
Leatherface
walking on the water.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Because you're walking in one of the sewer waters. Yeah, and it's not the same thing. It is very different.
What year did this game come out? I'm gonna look while you guys keep talking.
I don't know, but if you're going to look it up, I don't believe Tatsu has his construction company yet.
No, not yet. After he gets his ass kicked in this game, it is canon now. He starts his company. You're right.
Instructional Industries.
Like, you get like all 4 way cool dudes.
This was 91.
That was the year that that was, I think 91 was the year that Secret of the Ooze came out.
Is it the same year that Turtles in Time came out? Because I think this game and Turtles in Time both came out at the same time. Super got Turtles in Time, I think, and then this got the Sega got the Hyperstone Heist.
Turtles in Time came out in March of 1991.
Okay, so they were both in 91. So yeah, this is another one of those instances where basically the same game came out for different systems, but they were completely different games, like Aladdin.
Well, you were saying that all four turtles have their own unique moves, and right here it says Donatello's Hurricane Attack blows enemies away, and it says right here Raphael, the greatest turtle of them all. That's what it says. I'm not.
Oh yeah.
No, that's what it says.
All right, sure thing.
It has a vacuum slice that really sucks them up.
Oh, that sucks.
Just man, my turtle's better than your turtle.
Shane, you're just mad because fucking Marge Simpson did it better.
No, listen, you're mad because because playing as Raphael in these games is hard mode because he doesn't have a ranged weapon.
No, that's bullshit. That's only in Turtles 1.
Yeah.
Because if you know what you're doing in these turtle games, you never have to hit a foot soldier more than twice. You hit them once, and you throw them at the screen. Hit them once, throw them at the screen. They're dead.
Yep.
Or in some cases, hit them once, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
Hey, you're just mad because Raphael's better.
Sure thing. No, this game is damn good. And at the end of the game, the bosses are slightly different too. So in Turtles in Time, it's a slightly different fight against the Shredder than it is in Hyperstone Heist. Damn good game. I'm telling you. Damn good game. Next, The Haunting, starring Poltergeist.
Nice.
Okay, was
This is another one of those games where if you come over to Bill's house, he'll put it in and be like, "Here, play this." What do? Just play it.
Now this game is interesting because it was 16 megs.
This game is wild because there was nothing else like it, and even to this day, I've never played anything else like it. Basically, you're this fucking poltergeist dude, and every single item in the house is something you can interact with. You can either interact with yellow items, which you make happen when you're ready to make them happen, or blue items are set on a timer that interact with the people in the house.
Yep.
Now, what you have to do is your goal is to scare the people in this house so bad that they flee from the house.
And try not to run out of your spooky juice.
Yes, and everything you do, like for the longer that you're in this world, you lose your ectoplasm and you have to get more of it. You can get it by scaring people, or if you run out, it sends you to this dungeon thing, and that's the only place in the game where you can actually die.
Yep. It sends you to like a version of hell, and you have to try to fucking gather enough to get the fuck out and go back and haunt these motherfuckers.
I've seen you play this game, but the story behind this game is ridiculous.
Basically, the story is this. This family did something to this guy, and this guy is going to scare the hell out of them now.
Well, right here it says the poltergeist is a rebellious punk teenager who was killed in an accident involving defective skateboards manufactured by business mongol Vito Sardina.
Yes, which is the guy. This is the dude with the cigar over here.
Yep. As a ghost, poltergeist seeks revenge by haunting Vito's home and tormenting him and his family.
Yes,
that is. I guess you didn't really need a deep plot for these games, but that just seems a little ridiculous. Skateboards.
I actually did an old review on this years ago where I actually show off some gaming footage and whatnot. It's probably still on this channel, but damn, I wouldn't know where now. I keep my playlists pretty good, so it's probably somewhere in the gaming with ReploidBill, but I'm not sure.
You were talking about it earlier, but I've already forgotten. What year did they implement the ESRB?
The ESRB happened right after Mortal Kombat 2, because Mortal Kombat 2 has a rating of mature, but it is not rated by the ESRB.
Is this game? This game is rated MA13.
Yes.
Yep.
So is that considered mature back then?
No. This would be like teen.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is also the Sega was trying to be ahead of the curve. They knew that the ESRB was going to happen. They knew that eventually there was going to have to be a rating system for games. They knew that it was coming. CDs had a rating system, movies had a rating system, television has a rating system. They knew it was coming, so they tried to get ahead of the curve and do it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while, and no, it's after Mortal Kombat 2, because Mortal Kombat 2 launches and it does not have an ESRB rating.
Right.
Did you know that this game was on PSP?
No, I had no idea this game was on PSP.
Yeah, it was ported to PSP back in 2006.
Well, I knew the game was on PSP, but that's because I had a hacked PSP.
Yeah, it says you can only play right here. You want Sega Genesis and PlayStation Portable.
Nice.
Yeah, now you know something.
And the go.
Some of the scares in this game are extremely brutal. Everything from like heads being chopped off to like being strapped onto like a buzzsaw table, and like there's this one where you go into the bathroom and like this mummy falls from the ceiling, hits the bathtub, and explodes into blood, guts, and ass.
Yep.
Dude, some of it was extreme, like really crazy shit. That's for its time. All cartoon violence, though, so I mean, it's nothing is actually scary. But like, if you see some of the scares, you'd be like, "Nope, I'd be the fuck out of that house."
Right.
But here's the thing: I also read, because I don't know a lot about this game, so I was reading about it. It doesn't matter, because every time you scare them out of the house, you just follow them to no less than 4 houses.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and the end of the game is fucking crazy. Like because you're playing the game and it doesn't prepare you for it at all. All of a sudden, after you beat the last house, you just go back to the hell dungeon and there's this fucking monster and he's like shooting at you and everything. You have to like throw orbs of death, and I'm like, what is happening? Like all of a sudden it's like an arcade fighting game, and I'm like, I was not prepared for this. Like nothing in the game has led me to this point.
Right.
And there's weird that like the family starts getting dogs and shit that will bark and take your ectoplasm.
Yep.
So that becomes a pain in the ass. But the bigger houses, there's so much more shit to play with. Dude, it's so good. Next.
Yeah, I found myself killing myself a few times just playing with the shit in that house.
Do you have anything on this one, Scott?
No. I mean, I gave it a try, and I did enjoy it a lot. Although I wish when they tried, I do mean this, tried to do some kind of remaking of it a while back, it wasn't anything quite like this. So.
No, I remember when you told me there was and I tried that game, and that was not even close to this.
Yeah.
Next, Toe Jam and Earl.
Oh yeah.
Toe Jam and Earl. This game, when we recorded playing this game and watching, who was it? Seth.
Goddamn fucking boots.
It was Seth. He got them rocket skates.
After level, he just kept falling farther and farther down.
Goddamn rocket skates.
This game was fun to watch.
I almost fucking made it too. I fucking hit the rocket skates. I'm like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. Oh god, I'm gonna fall. Oh shit, I landed on a platform. Okay, cool. Oh shit, I landed on a platform. All right, cool. When are they gonna run out? Fuck. 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 Stop falling. Fucking pissed me off so bad.
There is a Let's Play of this game by us in our early years. It is on this channel. I'm almost positive you could find it on this channel because I think I added it to the playlist. I think it's on Gaming with ReploidBill. It is so fucking good. It's me, Seth, Nick. I'm trying to remember. Were you the other player, Shane?
Yep.
Because the way it works is if you lose a life, you gave up the controller. And damn, dude, this was a damn good night. But this game is just this exactly what I was talking about. This is that 90s humor. It's ridiculous. It's fun. It's stupid. Like, the whole point is the levels are random. You have to find enough ship pieces to build your ship. Once you have the ship built, you get the fuck out of there. That's the end of the game. There's no bosses or anything like that. It's just every level is random and every level is ridiculous. And even when you're losing, it's fun.
No bosses. That fucking Rocket Skate is a goddamn boss.
Oh, shit.
And when you get two hula girls on either side and a fucking devil walking up behind you, you're like, go away, go away, go away. Get out of my face. I gotta run. You bitches.
Oh, man. I love this game. And yes, this game was released because of the Sega Collection. And it could be another reason, too. But I know definitely the Sega Collection. This game came out on the Switch. So now you can play some Toe Jam and Earl anywhere, anytime.
And there was like I think there was like a third one that was released recently.
Yes,
no,
they
recently
released.
No. It wasn't recent. There was Toe Jam and Earl 1, Toe Jam and Earl 2, Panic on Planet Funkatron. Then there was the third game that was on the original Xbox.
Yep.
But there was a newer one, wasn't there?
Yes, there is a newer one.
Yeah.
But the third one is on the original Xbox. And from what I understand, I never got to play it, and I can't find it, so I've never got to play it. It plays like a newer aged version of the original. So I've always wanted to play the third, because the second game is fun, and it's different, but it is very different. It turns into like a 2D side scroller. Like, it's a very different experience. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's because of that. When I put it on my list, I actually had to go through the old games and look to figure out which one was the good one, which is this, and then the figure out about Funkatron. Because I remember I played both when I was little, and I remember hating one of them, and it was the Funkatron, just because I didn't like the fact that it went from being a 2.5D, where it's technically it's 2D, but it's got that little bit of a skew to make it 3D.
Yeah,
it was on.
So, like, I didn't like that they had switched it.
Toe Jam and Earl 3 was also on the Dreamcast.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
I didn't know that one either. Yeah.
The second game happens because you left Earth and somehow you accidentally brought a bunch of humans with you, and humans are not funky, and they're unfunking Funkatron.
Yep.
Well, Bill, if you would like to play Toe Jam and Earl 3 for the original Xbox, all I need from you is anywhere between $35 and $100.
Okay, 35 might not be bad if it doesn't play. If it doesn't play bad, here's my thing. There are some games out there that are timeless. There really are. I don't fucking agree with paying over $100 for a fucking game. That's bullshit. But I will say that $30 and $40 is still acceptable if you can get a game that is still in great condition. Because, like, I would argue that even though it's not going to be fucking cutting edge, you could have a lot of fun with Morrowind even today.
Yeah.
That is still very much a game that's worth $30, $40.
Oh, never mind. It didn't come out on Dreamcast. That is a fan-made game on a custom disc.
Oh, shit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was going to say, there's only 2 games to my knowledge that I'm okay with paying over $100 for the game.
Uh-oh.
And the first is Skies of Arcadia, because that game is fucking awesome.
Yes.
Now,
and then,
is there a preference to that? Because that came out on multiple systems.
Dreamcast and GameCube.
It would be the GameCube version, just because the Dreamcast, while I like it, half of the functionality of it is missing because there's no Dreamcast servers anymore. So because of that, I have to go with the GameCube version, and that one sells for a shit ton of money. I want to say last I checked, it was like
I got mine
130 or 140 or something like that.
Ow.
Yeah, I got mine for 90.
Is it?
I got mine for 90, yes.
Well, to be fair, he got his a while back, too.
I did.
Right. No, mine when I originally got it, and I think my brother still has it, but when I got mine, I actually picked it up when I bought my GameCube because it was only like the standard like $60 tag. So I was like, fuck it, I'll get it. And then the other is Steel Battalion. And the only reason why it's an over $100 game is because if you buy the game for the $60, cool, you bought a $60 game. Now you have to buy a ridiculous fucking man-sized controller for a couple hundred, like 500, I think.
All I know about Steel
Couple pennies.
All I know about Steel Battalion is that it was Bill's favorite game because it breaks Xboxes.
It broke his Xbox. Mine works. That's the reason why the Xbox in his living room will play that game, is because it was mine where it worked on it.
It's true. It's very true.
Xbox could not handle such a magnificent game.
Oh my god, so gay. Next,
Right.
Vector Man 2.
Yep, I love that game.
Dude, Vector Man was so awesome.
Right, and I had the choice because I was like, I know I want to throw Vector Man on there because it's good, but do I want to go with 1, which everybody knows, or 2, which only a few of us know? And I prefer 2 personally because 1, I owned it and I played it all the time, but the second reason is because Vector Man 2 to me is a much different game from Vector Man 1. Well, Vector Man 1, you have to do the same
Hold on. Hold on.
Okay.
There, you were
Okay,
right.
now
Okay.
start again. I think you're back. You were robot for a minute.
Sorry. So to me, in the major difference between Vector Man 1 and Vector Man 2.
What the fuck? It was so perfect. I don't know why all of a sudden we're having crashes here.
I think it's because of the fucking weather. Okay, better?
Oh, nope. Now we're getting you. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Goddamn rain clouds. So, like I said, for Vector Man and Vector Man 2, I owned and played Vector Man 2 more than 1. And while they're essentially the same game because you collect the orbs, you fight the enemies, you go through the game, you do the thing, to me, Vector Man 2 is a much different game and to me a much better game than Vector Man 1. Because in 2, you're just a robot dude who's out shooting fucking airplanes out of the sky and random shit like that. At least in 2, there's a better story because the story between the 2 is you finally got off the planet that you're on and you're, doing your thing. You literally get shot out of the sky and crash land on this, alien planet, and you have to fight through the alien planet, which is basically controlled by like this giant queen bug lady. So all of your power-ups have to revolve around the fact of you're actually fighting these weird alien bug people, which to me makes more sense than the first game of turn it on and, okay, now you're Vector Man, go do shit.
It was. He even is on the Sega title in the first game. Like, you turn it on and he goes, whoa, and he fucking falls onto the Sega title and you can run around the title screen.
Right. Whereas in the second, when you turn it on, like, it comes up to the Sega screen and he's like, gives it the thumbs up, and then he stands there and his gut falls out and he looks down and picks it up and pushes it back up into his chest.
Dude, I
like
love
they
how
tried to play with
hardcore.
it.
This game was so hardcore, but had that weird, like I told you, the early games that came out on like Super and Sega, like the 91 through like 95, the reason they're so memorable is because they had like this hard attitude with like this crazy comedic feeling to everything. Like Earthworm Jim doesn't happen today. Vector Man doesn't happen today. It doesn't.
That, and I always used to put in the cheat in order to fuck everybody up, because literally the cheat in order to pull up any of your quote powers was literally, here's your cheat. Do you need help? Call Dad. C A left down A down. Call Dad to help. Like, I thought that was the most ridiculous input for a cheat ever. I was like,
awesome.
Only they would have the balls to be like, oh, you can't play this? Call your dad.
And that right there, that's that comedic feeling. It's even written into their code. Like, that does not happen today, at least not in the same way. In fact, I would say that around the time that we lost this weird, edgy, comedic feeling, was about the time that Conker's Bad Fur Day happened, because
Yeah.
that took a very different brand of humor. And then from that point on, I've never seen the days of Vector Man happen again.
Right. Well,
Like, there was
Conker
little
did
things
do
like-
it best with the great and mighty King Pooh.
Like, he would do things like he would lean against the wall, and then he would like take his like wrist and bicep off and like juggle them.
Yep.
Just weird, dumb shit that he would do. And then like one of the levels for like the original Vector Man was you're a train with a gun, because Vector Man
Yep.
is just a bunch of balls and he can just become shit. And he's
Yep.
on a railroad track, and there's this big giant rock dude that keeps trying to not fall to its death. I don't even know if it's actually trying to fight you, but Vector Man has to go that way, so he shoots the shit out of this thing's hand, and he's like, oh fuck, and then he puts his other hand up on the track and you shoot the shit out of that hand, and then he keeps doing that until finally he's like, shit, and he falls off the railroad track and fucking dies.
Mm-hmm.
And I always looked at that and thought, was Vector Man just an asshole? Like, I really have to go this way. You're going to have to move.
Right, because in the second game, like, they play with that aspect of him turning into different shit, because there's one level where you literally turn into a tornado, and they're like, you wreck people's shit with that, and then there's another where one of the power-ups at the beginning is you become like a tank. And then there's also like a fire ant power up where you literally throw like fireballs at shit. And I swear to God, if that would have been like done nowadays type of thing with like a Duke Nukem type of a feel, he would have made like a Mario reference.
Yeah.
Like, just the game in general was kind of crazy and off the wall. And then once you finally get to the main baddie, like the Queen Spider, all of a sudden, all the comedic goes out the window, because she comes in being like, I will destroy you. And it's like the most creepy, like surreal fight. Because the entire game is like kind of dark, but kind of goofy. But then you get there and it's just like, welcome to die type of bullshit. Like, you're like, holy fuck, now the game is real.
Next, Vector Man. I just did that because I knew Vector Man was next, and they both made it onto the list. What, Scott, did you play Vector Man at all?
I tried the first one. It was interesting for what they tried, but I couldn't get behind it.
Okay, so it wasn't your game.
No, not really.
Did you ever play it, Shane?
No.
No, so you never played Vector Man at all.
Nope.
Well, that's sad waste right there.
Right.
That's so good.
Why would I want to play a game when the fucking character breaks the Genesis? Look at him. Look at the Genesis. It's all fucking. I don't like that.
Well, because to get your power-ups, you broke TVs.
True.
He just broke Genesis.
Genesis.
I knew you were gonna do that. I knew you were gonna do that. Genesis.
Next, X-Men.
Boom, bitch!
Special edition poster inside.
Oh
Yep.
shit! I wonder what it looks like.
It includes maps and
Yep.
kits.
This game I loved. Like, I picked it up from the video store one night, and literally every other time that we got to go to the video store, I fucking rented this game. I loved this game.
Yes, this game.
In fact, I played the shit out of it last night and realized, oh fuck, I remember why. Even on easy mode, like even on amateur, because your difficulties are like amateur, hero, and superhero for easy, medium, and hard. Well, easy, normal, and hard. And literally even playing it on amateur, like I'm getting my ass whooped. Because like Juggernaut, you don't have to beat, you have to survive when you first encounter him.
That's actually really interesting. Before you go any further, the thing that made that so interesting is that is true to comics. And even today, we're seeing that not work. And you can't beat the fucking Juggernaut, not with the guys you have, not realistically. The only thing you could do was survive him.
Oh, I beat him in the game, and then I realized something. Because I beat him in the game, the rest of the game instantly jumped up. Like, it increased your difficulty. If you started on amateur, and if you can beat Juggernaut, because basically what this entire game is you're in the danger room and the danger room goes haywire.
Yeah, it's not actually. They're actually what blah 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 blah. What that's how they got away with the cheat code too, is because there's a cheat code where you get to pick the level you want to go to, which is now absolutely essential because you can't actually beat this game without that code now. Unless you're playing it on original hardware with a reset button, you cannot beat this game because when you get to the end of Mojo, there's just a TV and you punch it and it blows up. And at that point, it sends a code to the system that when you hit reset, it takes you to the next level. It doesn't actually reset the game.
Yep.
Well, now when you do this, if you're on an emulator or anything like that, and you blow that TV up, it's fucking done. The game is done. You can't get out of the level without reset.
Right.
And you can't do it on an emulator because there's something that the game is doing, which is communicating with the Sega Genesis in live time that needs that reset button. Which is also a reason you don't see this game ported. You notice that it's never on any kind of, like, there's no reason that Marvel couldn't do a classic superhero collection game where they're just like, hey, remember the fucking X-Men arcade? And here's but they don't do it. And there is a reason why. Because they could give us like a battle, what was that? What's that game on Super Nintendo? War of the Gems or whatever?
Yes.
Like they could give us games like that. I'm sorry?
Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems?
Yes, I believe that was it. Like, we could get things like that, and there was X-Men Apocalypse and whatnot, but this game would have to be edited and changed because that part of the game can no longer be done.
Right.
So you said it automatically kind of boots your difficulty if you do win that fight?
Yeah.
I remember not being able to beat him. I thought you had to just survive him.
Well, you do have to just survive him, but I managed to luck out because I was, what was it? I was fighting him with Wolverine at first, and I got him down to half health, and he knocked me down almost. So I quick switched over to, I switched over to Nightcrawler. And the cool thing about Nightcrawler is when you're in the air, your combo, because you do like a jump punch type of thing with everybody else. Not Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler automatically does a like side-scrolling like dive bomb kick, like a missile drop kick.
I remember that.
And it automatically moves you. So I was able to like hit him and then like jump out of the way because as he runs, he's invulnerable and he will knock your ass down. But if you could do the jump kick, he'll stop for a moment to like look around and be like, where's this fucker? I got to hit him again. Because if you're in the tree line, he'll jump to knock you down to run you over. Well, when he stops, if you do the kick, you can actually hit him. And when you fucking take him out, his helmet drops and he fucking fizzles into oblivion. And then like something pops up and it goes, hey, we beat the Juggernaut. Awesome. Well, then as I move on to the next part of the level, all of a sudden there ends up being more and more enemies. Not only are there more enemies, but now the pterodactyls that show up will grab you and pull you back towards the start of the fight, like towards the start of the level in the Savage Lands. And it like starts fucking with you hardcore. But when I did it the first time, I didn't beat him. He just fucked off. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I just had to survive. And there wasn't nearly as many enemies. There were still like 3 dudes throwing spears and 1 dude going like, making like ape ooka and then jump at you leaps. And every now and again, like a bee would fly on the screen because you're not moving, you're surveying and trying to figure out about your next move and shit. And like all of a sudden it became even more crazy. I was like, what the shit?
What I like about the game is all the characters you get to be. Like, you know, you got, you know, Jean Grey and Roger in the game, Archangel, Iceman, Storm, you know, Nightcrawler.
Yes and no. Yes and no, because you only get the 4 heroes. You only get to be Gambit, Wolverine, Cyclops, and Nightcrawler. Storm shows up as basically like a power move. Same with Angel, same with Iceman. Jean Grey shows up if you fall in a pit to pick you up and put your ass back on the level. So like everybody's there, but only certain people you actually get to play with. And Wolverine gets his claws, but when you pull them out, it drains this like mutant power bar and then when you retract it, like he doesn't do as much damage without the claws. So if you don't have the claws out, you just fisticuff fighting, and a lot of enemies take more hits. But if you pop the claws, especially in a boss fight, your meter will drain quickly. Like automatically, it'll just start draining. But you can literally I can't remember the first fight. I want to say it's like something dumb. Like I'm just gonna throw a name like Adam Warlock. I know that's not who it is, but it's some dumb person like that. And literally, I couldn't do damage. Pop the claws with Wolvie, and I'm fucking slashing, and he's taking like do type of health, whereas fisticuffs is do, and I'm like, this motherfucking boss is gonna piss me off.
I feel like they had a opportunity. They dropped the ball with this opportunity to add morph in the game.
I actually liked. I have no problem with your pick. I prefer the second game. I think the second game was so fucking good.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree to that. I like that one a lot as well because that one was more in tow with the War of the Gems.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, this one I just loved because it was one of the first X-Men games that I found that I was actually able to beat on my own. Like, it wasn't until later on where, like, yeah, I used the cheat to jump levels and put in the Game Genie codes just to see how crazy I could get with the fights.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, this is one of the first X-Men game I was able to, like, pop in and play on my own and actually beat, like, start to finish without, like, cheating. Because Game Genie or random codes and shit.
I also like that you get to play as a Gambit Nightcrawler, too.
Right.
They could take Cyclops out. I could care less about that, but
what?
Well, I mean, Gambit is cool because Gambit doesn't show up in too many games. Like,
and I think that's what it makes it is really cool is that he's in this game, you know. And like Nightcrawler appears in more games than Gambit.
Right.
Wolverine is the face of the X-Men. Obviously, he's going to be in every single game. We don't need Cyclops. We just don't.
What?
Yeah, we could replace Cyclops with like anybody, like fucking
motherfucker. Do you want to play hide and seek with Cyclops?
No.
Although considering the fact that this one is also based off the actual like 90s cartoon,
yes,
you know, fucking that's hardcore that's hard ass Cyclops.
You know, we could
the one who's a bad motherfucker unless Jean Grey isn't there, and then he can't do shit.
You know, it's like we could replace him with like Jubilee or something. You know,
oh my god, you're such a fucking hater.
Somebody worth a fuck. You know what I mean?
Should we move on?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, Scott, did you play this game at all?
I tried this one and the second one. Didn't really get into it.
Oh, I love the second one so much. I'm surprised. Next.
Yeah.
Oh, no. That was it.
Nice. Good. That means I'm one step closer to making dinner since I haven't eaten all fucking day.
Damn. He said fuck eating and podcasting.
So, that was the show. The show is done. The show is done. The show is winding up. Not a bad one this time. Go here. Whoa.
We're leaving the internet. Man, fuck reality. Put me back in the internet.
Okay. Yeah. So, look, that was it. That's the show. We're done. We're going to move on. Us in general, we have filming to do tomorrow. I got to finish some frickin' Ranger episodes for the other show we do. And
Ranger.
Oh, you too? Yeah. I still have 6 more episodes of Spice to watch.
Spice.
I got 10.
So, yeah, I'm kind of glad that we decided we weren't going to meet up until, the usual time. But I'm glad that we decided that the usual time was going to be later enough in the fucking day where, oh, hey, you didn't catch up? We'll get caught up, motherfucker.
All right. So, yeah, this episode's done.
Bye.